Greetings to you, music lovers, thrill seekers, conversationalists all across the fruited plain. Time for Broadcast Excellence, hosted by me, El Rushbaugh. Often imitated, often copied, never equaled. Telephone number if you want to be on the program, 800-282-2882. The email address, elrushbaugh@eibnet.com. A couple big things here from the New York Times. Well, not big things, but some things I just want to take care of at the outset. From the New York Times blog, The Caucus, by Jim Rutenberg. A reporter, I should point out, that we have praised over the years at the New York Times. Any notion that Herman Cain was going to fade into the background as Governor Rick Perry and Mitt Romney took center stage after last week's debate can be dispatched with. The Herman Cain campaign announced in a statement yesterday that it was beginning a 50-state radio campaign running on the single most important force in conservative talk radio, the Rush Limbaugh Show. It's actually 57 states. But who's counting? So you will be hearing Herman Cain commercials on the program. He is a 50-state by virtue of this program. And when you hear that, it doesn't imply an endorsement. We're not doing that. We're just business people here. And candidate Cain said, "We want to buy some time on your program." We said, "Fine and dandy." What? No, I did not endorse Romney. Who said I endorsed Romney? No. Yeah. It was not a guy in the email. It was a woman that was mad at me for criticizing Romney. Now, anyway, the Herman Cain commercials will start soon. It doesn't mean that we've endorsed Herman Cain, and it doesn't mean that we're not going to talk about anybody else. Romney can buy some time. Rick Perry can buy some time. If they wish. I just don't want anybody to think here that the fact that one of the candidates has purchased time means that we have endorsed or have. Well, of course I haven't. We haven't endorsed anybody yet. And accepting Mr. Cain's advertising does not mean that we have. As it so happens, Rick Perry has his months in the making, weeks in the making plan out today. And we're going to be talking about it a bit. As we would do, regardless whether candidate Cain had purchased advertising time on the program or not. So I just wanted to get that straight here at the top of the program, because many people might make assumptions that would end up being incorrect. In fact, I'm just as on the fly. I don't even know what I'm. Mike, do you have a Herman Cain commercial standing by? Does it start today by any chance? Yeah, call up. We always welcome new advertisers here to the program, just like we did when I began advertising. 2F by T. I gave myself a welcome to the program. What are you looking at me like that for? I just want to get this out of the box. I don't care what happens. Don't care what happens. We're doing this. Herman Cain is an advertiser, just like everybody else is. You got one of Herman's spots ready? All right, here it is. I haven't even heard him yet. I had other people approve them. Here it is.
999 means jobs, jobs, jobs. I'm Herman Cain, a candidate for president, and I approve this message, but Obama doesn't. My 999 plan creates 6 million jobs. Obama doesn't want you to know because he doesn't want me to win. Go to 999meansjobs.com and help me defeat Obama. An uprising has me leading an hour, but I need you. Please donate $9 or $999. Every gift counts. 999meansjobs.com. Paid for by Friends of Herman Cain, Inc. Thank you.
And that's a sample Herman Cain commercial as part of his 50-state buy. It's a very efficient way to advertise in all 50 states, is to advertise on this program, the single most important force in conservative talk radio, according to the New York Times. So there you have it. So, and again, Perry's economic plan is out, and it's good. I like Rick Perry's plan. In fact, folks, I want to make a point about something since we brought this up here. No. I'm not endorsing anybody here. I'm just telling you, I like Perry's plan. We've got audio sound bites of Perry being grilled on the plan on CNBC. And we'll let you hear those as the program unfolds. But I want to talk about the conservative Republican media intelligentsia. These are the people who were dead wrong when the Arab Spring popped up. These are the people who could not have been more incorrect. They told us what was happening in Egypt, marvelous, wonderful. It's an outbreak of democracy, and we need to get behind it, and we need to support it. All the while, Obama was trying to get out in front of it and make it look like what was happening in Tahrir Square was just an extension of his campaign from 2008. The conservative intelligentsia on our side doing much the same thing, claiming that the Arab Spring was this wonderful breakout of democracy that we should support, and they're dead wrong. They're dead wrong about what the Arab Spring was. Now we've got Sharia law that's going to be enforced in Libya. Sharia law probably is going to become the law of the land in Egypt. The enemies of Israel are lining up and joining forces. Now, my point is, our conservative intelligentsia was as wrong as they could be, and yet they continue to pass judgment on all of these candidates. Herman Cain, Michelle Bachmann, Rick Santorum, Rick Perry. And and specifically when talking about Herman Cain, what they're claiming that Herman Cain doesn't have the slightest idea what he's talking about with foreign policy. And Herman Cain's an embarrassment. And Herman Cain, not qualified to be president. All he did was run company, but he's never been in politics, which is a business. And his qualifications on foreign policy are very, very dubious. And who's saying this? The people who totally missed what this Arab Spring is all about. The so-called experts on our side who told us, get behind it. It's an outbreak of democracy over this. Is a wonderful thing, extension of the Bush policy. It's Iraq flowering into democracy in Egypt. And it's not. It's the outbreak of Sharia law throughout that region. So our intelligentsia, and not to drum it home, and I don't want to be redundant here to the point of boredom, but these are the people set themselves up as lofty experts, claiming Herman Cain to know what he's talking about. He's not qualified, or Romney, or not Romney. They're not criticizing Romney. Cain, Santorum, Perry, Bachmann, they don't know what they're talking about, and neither do the people who are criticizing them. And I think it's an important point to make. Same people who were wrong about the debt ceiling. They told us we ought to go along with a debt ceiling. They told Boehner, no, don't fight Obama on this. We've got to raise the debt ceiling. We have to do it. The same people who attacked the Tea Party. Talk radio, conservatives said we got to go along. Let Obama and Boehner come to an agreement here on the debt deal. Okay, so where did that take us? So we got this super committee which has as part of its task either raising $500 billion in revenue or cutting $500 billion in defense, which is a disastrous choice and a huge trap, and this is what our own experts gave us. And they tell us, after a series of blunders that they've made, misjudgments that they've made, they sit there and pass judgment on these candidates who are actually presenting some pretty good ideas compared to what we're dealing with, compared to what we've got in the White House. What they ought to be talking about is the poor judgment of Obama, the lack of qualification of Obama, the lack of competence of Obama, instead of ripping our own people. But they're ripping our own people because they're ripping conservatives, and they're not conservative, even though they want everybody to think that they are. I mean, fine, if you want to question Herman Cain's foreign policy, qualifications, and credentials, cool. But let's talk about yours at the same time. Arab Spring, outbreak of democracy, where is it? Didn't quite happen that way. Sharia law now looks like it's going to end up being the law of the land in Libya. Now we have some really good proposals coming from Herman Cain and now Rick Perry pushing forward a flat tax In either case, both of them are talking about serious tax reform, limited federal intrusion via the IRS. And the same crowd is attacking this stuff on the basis that it's too simplistic, or joining the critics of the left when they say that certain people who don't pay taxes will continue to not to pay taxes, going on and on and on. And what it really boils down to is that certain elements of our own intelligentsia are making the case defending big chunks of the status quo. Because they like big government, and they like an active executive, quote unquote, and they like their turn in charge of the money. We have some conservatives running for president who are proposing serious, substantive, compelling ideas for addressing big problems, and they are, of course, set upon by the usual liberal suspects. But they also are hit on by Republican operatives, so-called conservative strategists and so forth, on the basis that, well, they don't know who they're inexperienced, lack of qualifications, really don't know what they're talking about. And of course, they're not infallible themselves. I can continue to point out areas in analysis where they themselves have been wrong, and yet they continue to occupy these lofty perches of wise men. They and only they know, and yet they're not right either. I just wish that people on our side could get unified and understand that the problem is not Herman Cain, the problem is not Rick Perry, the problem is not Rick Santorum, the problem is not any of our people, the problem is Barack Obama and what he has done so far to this country and what he will continue to do if given the chance. So a brief timeout. We'll come back. What? No, I haven't. I'm not going to go to Washington anytime soon, and I don't see these people when I go there anyway. And by the way, have I mentioned any names? How do you even know who I'm talking? Yeah, you might think you know who I'm talking about. Anyway, let me take a brief timeout here, my friends. Sit tight. Brief timeout, obscene profit timeout. We'll be back and continue right after this.
Saying what needs to be said. Rush on the EIB network.
A lot of us are not going to let that happen.
Ever wonder how Barbara Boxer keeps that uptight, uncomfortable look all day long? She's got her thong on. And now you can keep it uptight, too. Celebrate spring with the environmental thong made with dried leaves, moss, and twigs. Or keep leaks to yourself with a dependable Pat Leahy model. It only leaks when you want it to. All our boxers are unisex and come in only one size, extra, extra small, for that uniquely uptight look that's so fashionable with your left-wing buddies. Now you, too, can look uptight and uncomfortable all day long. And if you ever feel a smile coming on, just cinch it up a little higher. Just ask Ron Reagan Jr. So just throw out the old boxers and get your thong on with the Barbara Boxer Thong Collection. Check out the Barbara Boxer Thong Collection wherever left-wing loonies are found. Now, an official announcement by our dear leader Barack Hussein Obama.
Every day, people all across America are spreading vicious stories and taking my name in vain. To get reelected, we must fight against the truth that blocks our way. That's why I created AttackWatch.com, a website devoted to shutting down the free expression of all subversive, counter-revolutionary ideas. A place where you can report those who spread rumors, nasty emails, and public utterances attacking me. If you love me, you'll turn in anyone engaged in these types of activity. Friends, family, associates, children, anyone.
If you're tired of hearing how President Obama single-handedly screwed up the economy, hijacked healthcare, mishandled foreign policy...
That's enough!
Drop the ball!
I'm turning you in!
Wanted old people to take a pill and fly!
AttackWatch.com. We're watching you.
Do you have a low IQ? Don't mix well in normal society? Feel like you don't fit in? Then join the ranks of the elite Federal Baggage Screeners Corps. We're hiring thousands of qualified applicants right now. Just pass our rigorous job placement exam.
Yep, this one's breathing.
And you're on your way to a successful career. Like Betty, an elderly widow who enjoys knowing what's in everyone's bag.
Why, just last week, I found a pair of ladies' panties in a golf bag. Imagine that, a pair of panties in a golf bag.
Or perhaps you're a deranged loner with poor hygiene and grooming habits, like Larry.
I used to soil myself down at the bus station, but this is much better.
And if you have a really deep-seated emotional problem, you may be management material. So don't be afraid to call. Work for someone who appreciates you just as you are. The elite Federal Baggage Screeners Corps of America. Remember, America is counting on you. Now, an important message from President Obama to all potentially unemployed Americans and undocumented nannies.
If you're one of the millions of people right now who are worried about getting fired, don't despair. A recent Boston Globe story highlighted two people who were pleasantly surprised by unemployment during my recession. These people, who had climbed the success spiral during the Bush years, are truly enjoying my failure free fall. Under George Bush, unemployment would have been a catastrophe, but under my administration, it is an enlightening experience. You'll find that you will see life in a whole new way. You'll have all the time you want to go to the park and play with the kids, take long walks, and learn that the best things in life are free, like mortgages and healthcare. Right now, I'm doing all I can to help as many Americans as possible to experience the joys of unemployment. So when you get that pink slip, don't ruin your happiness by looking for a job. Together, we can do it. Yes, we can.
I do. I think the focus ought to never leave Barack Obama. That our inside the Beltway intelligentsia sees fit to have to go out and attack Perry or Kane, Santorum, Bachman, unqualified, unprepared, don't know what they're doing, when any of them would be a 2,000% improvement over Obama, who is what? Barack Obama is the least experienced, even after 2.5 years in office, the least experienced, because he learns nothing. His ideas are unworkable. His policies are stupid. His ideas are naive and dangerous. His record is a disaster. He is the most unqualified, irresponsible, disastrous candidate, not the conservatives. Not the people on our side running for office. They are such a step and cut above Obama. It's laughable. Now let's take a look at Santorum, Rick Santorum here, just as an example. He's way down in the polls. But other than the liberals and the inside the Beltway conservative intelligentsia, most of us know full well he'd be a very good president. Far superior to Obama. His views on economics, the judiciary, very sound. Yet he's attacked. Michelle Bachmann, she's trailing in the polls, but she's solid. She was among the first to build opposition against Obamacare in the House. She was a leader, the Tea Party rally. She's articulate, and she's right about virtually everything she said respecting domestic and foreign policy. She'd be a very good president, especially compared to what we've got now. Newt. Successful Speaker of the House, big, solid ideas, would be a very good president. Rick Perry just came out with what I think is a really good tax reform plan. It's not unlike Steve Forbes' plan in the past. He's got an energy plan that would unleash our own vast resources. He would make a very good president. Herman Cain is not just an experienced businessman. He's a brilliant businessman. He turned around failing franchises and companies. He is both intuitively and substantively conservative and would be a very good president. And Herman Cain has also begun the great debate about tax reform with his 999 plan. which to me is not something to sneer at and laugh at. It's refreshing. It's necessary. It's long overdue. If we're serious about all of this, and we are, there's so much to like about all this. Now nevertheless, this group of people that I have just highlighted here, these people, we're told that they are the inexperienced, uninformed, inarticulate, weak conservative candidates, repeatedly attacked by the liberals, repeatedly attacked by the media, and, in some cases, attacked by the Republican establishment. But at the end of the day, I would trust any of these conservatives serving as president of the United States. I would trust any of them. I would be confident with any of them. I would be happy with any of them. And furthermore, I am certain that this country would be reinvigorated if any one of them were president. Major reinvigorated. And I have no doubt, by the way, folks, that the liberals, the media, and even some in the Republican establishment would despise their presidencies. But that's good. That's not a bad thing. That's not a disqualifying fact. Just because the Washington establishment, I don't care what party they're in, just because they oppose this, just because they wouldn't be happy, who cares? Any one of these people would be such a vast improvement over what we have now. And they've all thrown their hat in the ring. They've all taken the plunge. They've all been willing to take the media anal exam. They all think that there is a desperate need for what they have to offer. And the people criticizing them are no better than they are. The people criticizing them don't have any better records when it comes to foreign policy or domestic policy than these candidates do. The difference is the candidates have accountability. The critics don't. Nobody holds them. Nobody even remembers when their criticisms have been incorrect or erroneous or what have you. Now, I've not mentioned Romney in this. I don't want anybody to get upset. I haven't mentioned Romney because he's not being attacked. Romney's not being attacked as an inexperienced conservative ideologue, et cetera, et cetera. All these other people are. Newt, Perry, Kaine, Bachmann, Santorum, they're all being attacked as inexperienced or unqualified, or they come up short in one area or another, foreign policy, domestic policy, or what have you. But I didn't mention Romney, and I didn't leave him out on purpose. I just didn't mention him because he's not a target. Nobody's attacking Romney. But this constant refrain that the Republican field is weak compared to the brilliant and vibrant Obama-Biden team, I can't sit by while that takes hold. That's something that needs to be constantly, vigorously challenged. We got the most incompetent, dangerous group of people running this country in my lifetime and beyond, and anybody on our side seeking to displace them would be a 2,000% improvement.
And now, Andy Griffith for Obamacare.
1965. A lot of good things came out that year, like Medicare. And now we got us Obamacare. And this year, just like always, you're going to have your guaranteed benefits right up until the time you get sick. So all you old angry white folks out there joining the tea parties and protesting and all, just calm down and be a good cracker. Good cracker. Tell them the new rules, Barney. Well, you see, it's like this. Here in Washington, everybody has to play by the rules. And we've developed a rule book just for you there at home. 62,528 new rules to help you through the process of health care in an orderly, organized fashion. Rule number 1. There are no peanut butter and jelly sandwiches allowed in any hospital, day or night, 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Rule number 2. If any named insured of a qualified plan gets sick,
He or she must fill out request form 24/7.
For more information on Obamacare and how it affects those 65 and older, just get sick and you'll find out.
Wow, another tough day in the market. Are you tired of all the risk? Want to invest in a sure thing? Then do what all my friends do. Invest in green jobs.
Be part of the green power revolution of wind, solar, and perpetual motion sweeping America.
I know what you're thinking. Investing in unproven technologies and startup companies with shaky finances is dangerous. But not if you're one of my close friends. Your investment is protected the Chicago way. Backed up by the full faith and credit of somebody else, the United States government.
Close friends are required to raise significant funds for the re-election of President Barack Obama. Only bundlers of $1 million or more will qualify for this exclusive offer. Act now to get in on this risk-free investment, guaranteed by the United States government.
In today's investment world, it pays to be one of my friends.
Paid for by friends to re-elect President Obama and what's left of the Solyndra Corporation. And now, a sad story of hard times from Sharpton and Jackson.
The Justice Brothers.
Times are hard out there. We know from experience.
Recently, my Escalade rental was stripped. Rims, radio, and reclining bucket seats.
And while everybody's talking about a double dip, we got a triple scoop recession at the National Action Network.
We both need a stimulus now more than ever.
And a payroll tax holiday.
Payroll tax holiday?
Yeah, retroactive to the second quarter of 1998.
But no matter how bad it gets, we both have each other to lean on.
That's what being a Justice Brother is all about. I help you, and you help me.
That's right.
You want to buy a raffle ticket?
Well, let me see.
Oh, you don't want to look at that.
First prize, dinner with Al Sharpton. He pays. Second prize, dinner with Al Sharpton. You pay. Third prize, selected auto parts. Hey, wait a minute. Those are my rims. Come back here, you hustler. You just think these are bad times. I'm going to give you a really bad time.
I didn't know you were from your escapade. Times are hard.
Love and togetherness through thick and thin. Sharpton and Jackson, the Justice Brothers.
Rick Perry announced his tax plan today, which I'll go on record as saying I, L. Rushbo, think is great. It's fabulous. I like it. And the left is coming unhinged. We have just two examples. First, from Debbie Blabbermouth Schultz, who was on MSNBC today, interviewed by the anchor Thomas Roberts, who said, what's your reaction? You hear how Rick Perry talking about Obama, the fact he says he's only given big government schemes that have failed the American peoples.
My reaction to Rick Perry's new old plan is that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. This is not a new idea. This is not something that is proposed for the first time. A flat tax has been introduced in the past, and it's been rejected because it overwhelmingly blows a hole in the deficit. Rick Perry isn't proposing anything to address that. How would he pay for this?
Well, I just love this because he's talking about blowing a hole in the deficit. Been there, done that, Miss Schultz. You guys wrote the book on it. When it comes to paying for it, what in the world are you paying for? We are bankrupt because of your party, Miss Schultz. What we are proposing here is solutions that will lead to economic growth, which will lead to more precious government revenues. In fact, the president of the Club for Growth, Chris Chocola, called Rick Perry's new plan massively pro-growth in a statement today. Rick Perry's plan for tax reform would be massively pro-growth. A flat tax like the one proposed by Perry would unleash years of economic growth if passed into law. Furthermore, eliminating the tax on dividends and capital gains would immediately add trillions of dollars in new wealth to the economy, benefiting all Americans. Perry clearly understands that revitalizing the economy should start with a complete overhaul of a tax code that's nearly choked economic growth to death. Conservatives looking for a champion to carry the banner of a pro-growth tax reform will surely rally behind the proposal of Rick Perry. Now, the president Club for Growth, Chris Chocolate, also took a jab at Romney in his statement. He said, quote, "It's disappointed Governor Romney has yet to embrace a flat or fair tax. He would be wise to avoid using class warfare when comparing his current proposals to those of Governor Perry or Herman Cain," Chocolate added. Talking about Romney, here's David Rodham Gergen this morning on CNN's Newsroom. The host here is Joe Johns. He said, Mr. Rodham Gergen, politically, when you listen to this, is this the sort of a Hail Mary pass for the Perry campaign? He's dropped in the polls, and now he has to get back in the game, doesn't he?
It comes along with a sweeping, bold, I would say radical plan. Some would even call it breathtaking. We ought to talk about the content of this plan because it is one of the most dramatic proposals we've heard in a major presidential campaign in some years. It could revitalize his campaign. Clearly, that's what he intends. This Perry plan is likely to be very well received among Tea Party types and on the right of the Republican Party. It's going to catch hell from the left because when you look at it, it can easily be painted because it is. It's a windfall for the wealthy. This is going to drop the net revenue for the government. How is the Perry going to deal with that? He's going to hold spending down to 18% of GDP. We haven't been anywhere close to 18% now for some years. What does that mean for a lot of government services are going to go away?
This is why a lot of people are going to like it. It is a return to fiscal sanity. We don't have the money we're spending now. We're broke. Look at our annual deficit. Look at the national debt. If something isn't done about this in a major way, not just tinkering around the edges, taking the top rate from 35 to 38% or 35 to 30, that's not going to make any difference. Raising the retirement age to 67 from 64, whatever, that's not going to make any appreciable difference. There has to be genuine structural systemic change here if we're serious about this. And this is my point. We have a bunch of candidates who are dead serious about this with their proposals. And measured against the status quo, of course they're radical. But what's truly radical is destroying the country. What's truly radical is destroying the private sector, which is what is being done now. That's what's radical. Perry, Cain, Bachmann, Newt, you name it. Their proposals are not radical. They're salvational. They're only radical if you compare it to the status quo. Would it be radical to say, let's go back to spending levels of the Clinton years? Everybody was happy then. Boom times. Everybody says the Clinton years, whoa, let's duplicate that. Look, we raised taxes, we had economic growth, we had surplus. Fine, let's go back to those spending levels. We did fine, right? How about the spending levels of 2006? Everybody was fine then. Oh, no, can't do that. We can't possibly do that. Look at the numbers we had yesterday of growth in the government sector, the wealthiest county in America, suburban Washington. Most everybody lives there earns twice what people in the private sector earn. Unemployment in that area is single digits, 3 to 4%. They all work for the government. Who pays them? People who don't have jobs anymore, people who can't find jobs, people whose homes are underwater. You want to talk about what's radical? Obamaism is radical. What's radical is what Obama has done and his party and continues to do. That is what's radical. What we're talking about here is a return to sanity. Herman Cain's plan does it. Perry's plan at least gets us talking about it. And the shock and the, oh no, we can't do that reaction that we're getting from inside the Beltway elitists ought to tell you everything you need to know about it. The establishment from both parties wants no part of any of these serious reforms. Government spending was at 18% during the Reagan Revolution. It's been a long time, but we got by. We had massive economic growth in the private sector. We had employment going up. We had inflation going down. People thought it wasn't possible for those two things to happen at the same time. But they did. So what's everybody all in a tizzy about? Well, Perry was on CNBC this morning, Squawk Box, and John Harwood was interviewing him. Harwood said, look, by cutting the top rate to 20%, it's a flat rate, you can opt out. You've got two possibilities with the Perry plan. You can either choose a tax rate of 20% or the rate that you were paying previously. So if your tax rate was 15%, you can choose that. If your tax rate was 35%, you can choose that. Or you can choose the 20. What do you think people will do? And this is where they're bugged. That's why David Roddenberg and all these other people, it's nothing more than a big bone to the rich. So the question, by cutting the top rate to 20%, eliminating dividends and capital gains, interest income taxes, that's providing a huge tax cut for wealthy people in the country. Given what's happened with income inequality, why is that a good idea, Perry?
We're trying to get this country working again, and that's what I focus on. As a matter of fact, as we looked and as we talked and as we went through what are the ways to really give incentives to those that are going to risk their capital to create the jobs. I mean, this country's got 14 plus million people out of work, and I want to get that money back out into the economy where people have confidence that they can have a return on their investment, and they'll hire individuals. And that's what this is really all about. Those that want to get into the class warfare and talk about, oh my goodness, there are going to be some folks here who make more money out of this or have access to more money, I'll let them do that.
Harwood won't let go, though. He says, wait a minute, what, for those people at the top, it's hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of dollars for them.
But I don't care about that. What I care about is them having the dollars to invest in their companies, to go out and maybe start a business because they got the confidence again that they actually get to keep more of what they work for. This idea that we've got to have a tax system in this country where you take more away from those that have the ability to create jobs. I'm all about job creation. That's what I've done for 10 years as the governor of Texas, and that's what I'm focused on. So I'll take that criticism because what I'm interested in is getting Americans working.
I kind of like that answer, folks. I don't care about that, Mr. Harwood. I don't care about your template. I don't care about your BS that my plan is going to result in the rich having more money, because I'll tell you what I care about is those people having money to grow their businesses and start their businesses and hire people. What I care about is jobs, Mr. Harwood. I don't care about the government getting bigger. I don't care about that. I love that. I don't care about that. That's not what this is about. I'm not trying to throw a bone to the rich. I'm trying to get money returned to the private sector from the public sector. I'm trying to get money back out of Washington, back to Main Street. And that's what Herman Cain's plan is all about. Any of our people that have an economic plan, I'll guarantee you that's what their plan's about. Their plan is about refueling the private sector. Restocking it with capital, if you will, because, Biden's running around talking about rape. Let me tell you who's been raped. The private sector of this country has been raped by the Obama administration. They have been held up. We have been held up. Our capital is in Washington, and it continues to go to Washington, where it is redistributed to people who are going to send it back to Democrats in the form of campaign contributions. Money laundering is the essence of union support of Democrat candidates of the Democrat Party. So Harwood says, well, you mentioned class warfare. In 1996, when your advisor Steve Forbes was running on a flat tax, Mitt Romney says it was a tax for the fat cats.
I would say that he ought to go look in the mirror, I guess. I consider him to be a fat cat.
He ought to go look in the mirror. I consider Romney to be a fat cat. So then, Harwood and Governor Perry have this exchange. They're talking about Trump and his questions about Obama's birth certificate.
It's a good issue to keep alive. Donald's got to have some fun.
But are you saying that your comments about that are kind of a joke, or do you seriously have an unresolved question like Donald Trump has about this?
I don't have a clue about where the president and what this birth certificate says. But it's also a great distraction.
I don't have a clue. I frankly don't care. As long as Donald Trump's having fun, that's all I need. I'm trying to get people back to work. I don't know where Obama was born. At this stage, I don't care what his birth certificate says. I want to get people back to work. Here is Perry himself, Gray Court, South Carolina, portion of his remarks.
The size of the current code is more than 72,000 pages. That's represented by this palette right over here and the reams of paper. That's what the current tax code looks like. The best representation of my plan is this postcard. This is the size of what we're talking about right here. Taxpayers will be able to fill this out and file their taxes on that.
Right, and one final bite.
It's the kind of economic stimulus that President Obama could have achieved if he wasn't so hell-bent on passing big government schemes that have failed American workers.
Okay. All right, so that's Rick Perry and his plan. Basically flat tax, 20% opt-out. If you don't like it, pay the tax you're paying now. And with the focus here on, Mr. Harwood, I don't care. You tell me the rich are going to end up with more money. I don't care about that. That's not the point here. The point is I want money back in the private sector. That's where people get hired. That's where people's lives expand. That's where people's prosperity exists. And we've got to get the money, the capital, back from Washington into the private sector. And that's what I care about. And we'll be back. Don't go away.
Resistance is futile. Rush on the EIB network. Now America's most scintillating talk show, The Tom Daschle Show.
Tom Daschle! Hi, and welcome to The Tom Daschle Show. I'm Tom Daschle. Recently, I've experienced some life changes which have allowed me to take the plunge. Yes, I'm now officially a full-time talk radio host right here on the internet. Tom Daschle! We're simulcasting from our flagship 250-watt powerhouse right here on the reservation in Little Bear. Our trusted engineer tells me that our 2.5-bit streaming audio is sounding great today. So you shouldn't experience any problems listening today. I want to go back to the question we've been dealing with. Why did the Democrats lose the election? From Tennessee, it's Al again.
Hello, Tom. You know, I was just thinking this morning, since I came closer to winning in 2000 against George Bush, I'm uniquely qualified to say that if I had chosen to run this time, my semester at Divinity School would have come in pretty handy in dealing with the insurgent evangelicals.
I think that's enough. Everybody knows you flunked out of Divinity School, Al.
I chose to flunk out.
And we're going to choose another caller here. James from Louisiana. Hello, James.
I'm telling you, this party must be born again.
So we should repent of our past evil ways and follow the truth?
Heck no, I wasn't born yesterday. I'm just saying we need a new hula dance with a religious grass skirt.
Oh, I see. Like Jimmy Carter.
I am ready to accept your accolade.
James, you sound...
Do not doubt me.
This caller seems to be on every line.
I'm ready to accept your apologies for doubting me.
Let's go to a break.
Do not doubt me. Sorry, I did it again.
See ya. Let's go to a break. You're listening to Tom Daschle! Daschle right here on the Tom Daschle Show on the internet.
Out of the Old West comes a new twist from the producers of Brokeback Mountain. Remakes of your favorite Western classics, destined to be Oscar contenders, like How the West Was Festive, Paint My Wagon, and the golden classic, He Wore a Yellow Ribbon.
What, oh chief, can I give you as a token of our friendship?
Me take 'em beads.
Never! They match my hat and my boots.
You'll never forget the boyfriends of Bobby Elder, the magnificent Stephen, or the man who spanked Liberty Valance.
Well, what are you trying to say, Pilgrim?
I want you to be my partner.
Come on, America. Join Hollywood this year as we continue to make fun of ourselves with the first in a series of new Western classics. Watch for them coming soon from the producers of Brokeback Mountain.
Spank me, Liberty! Spank me!
Attention, new.
Welcome back. Rush Limbaugh here on the cutting edge of societal evolution. Let's grab a phone call very quickly as we navigate toward the conclusion of this hour. This is Rob in Chicago. Great to have you on the program, sir. Hello.
Oh, thank you so much, Rush. Please excuse me. I'm a little nervous here.
I understand that. Most people are talking to me.
Okay. Sir, the reason I'm calling is the Democrats, they constantly redefine what the definition of rich is. Okay, currently, their idea of rich would be a teacher and a fireman, or a construction worker and a nurse. How in the blue blazes are we... Actually,
I ran some numbers on this, and they really are very consistent at this. I went back to 1984. In 1984, at the Democrat National Convention in San Francisco, Walter Mondale promised to raise taxes on the rich, and back then it was defined as anybody earning $60,000 a year.
$60,000 won't buy you much anymore.
Well, but $60,000 today is roughly $124,000. And if you add that with two people in a house, you get $250,000. So it really hasn't changed. If the household income is $250,000, that's the new definition of rich. It's pretty much consistent. I mean, there's some variables here that don't make it exact, but it's pretty consistent. Their idea of what's rich. But your overall point is exactly right. By the time you start adding household income of various professions, we're not talking about rich at all. What we're talking about,
middle class.
We're talking middle class, exactly. And we're talking about the federal government, the Obamas, the Democrat Party doing everything they can to eliminate upward mobility within the middle class. The income tax is the greatest preventer of the accumulation of wealth in our society.
Rush, if you'd allow me, I'd like to make 2 points. One is that the greatest enemy of the Communist Party, per se, is the middle class. And 2 is that the biggest lie in the Democrat lexicon is middle class tax cut.
True. But your point is?
That is my point. Those are my points.
But what are you saying? The Democrats trying to wipe out the middle class?
Exactly.
Well, they're doing everything they can to limit upward mobility of people in the middle class, while speaking as their champions, while claiming to be the champion of the little guy, the middle class, the working man. The Democrat Party's doing everything they can to stagnate the middle class. Because you're right, middle class upward mobility, great threat to the Democrat Party. That means people will move out of a state of dependence. Quick time out, folks. Sit tight. Back with more after this.
Rush. Make the commitment on the EIB network. Now a message from President Barack Obama on how he plans to help Americans cope with higher gasoline prices.
My fellow Americans, I'm sure that you, like most Americans, are feeling pinched economically by higher gas prices at the pump. Recent political events in the Middle East have destabilized oil-producing nations, disrupting supply, raising prices, and calling into question America's dependence on foreign oil. As president, I would have preferred a gradual adjustment, but I can't do anything about the high cost of gasoline. But you can. Buy the all-new Chevrolet Volt, Government Motors' first full production electric car, for just under $50,000. Consumer Reports said it was the only electric car that GM makes, and that it was capable of going up to 28 miles in the snow. And you can extend that range by taking along an optional 400-pound second battery.
Yes, you can buy an electric car that's slow, fuel-efficient, American-made, and more expensive than a Toyota Prius, even after a $7,500 tax credit.
The Chevrolet Volt. Last month we sold over 281. Who knows how many more we'll sell if gas prices reach an optimum of, say, $15 a gallon.
The Chevrolet Volt. Buy here, buy now.
Is your terror cell living in terror?
Now this word from the New York Times to jihadists everywhere.
Is your safe house not that safe? If you want your sleeper cell to sleep safely, read the New York Times.
Jihadists everywhere depend on the New York Times.
I saved my sleeper cell thanks to the New York Times.
For information you can't get anywhere else.
Did you know your phone calls are traced? Did you know your money transfers are being intercepted?
Now, thanks to the New York Times, you will be safe and secure.
I rerouted my terror funds thanks to the New York Times.
From Tora Bora to Tijuana, terrorists everywhere depend on the New York Times.
Because you'll find all the secret stuff that makes news meaningful to you.
Plus, exciting bonus features.
Daily attacks on the infidels by Maureen O'Dowd and Paul Al-Krugman and Tom Al-Friedman. Not to mention the entire front page of our newspaper, which is daily attacks on the infidels.
Gift subscriptions available.
We offer at the New York Times quantity discounts for large terror cells, educational discounts for madrasas and terrorist training camps. Read the New York Times and your sleeper cell can sleep safely.
Even in the deepest, darkest cave, you'll be the first to get inside knowledge of what the infidels have in mind to wipe you out.
New York Times, The Infidels Jihad Journal.
Now, a message of
Another exciting hour of broadcast excellence is in the can. It's middle-class jobs that are the jobs that are being destroyed. Middle-class education being dumbed down to the point that people in the middle class are not being educated to be upwardly mobile. This is not a coincidence, and it can't be denied. Sit tight. We're back with much more right after this.
Hello? Not again. What do you say this time? You better call Gibbs. He's gonna need a lot of coffee. Hey, Joe, don't you say it wrong. Explaining you takes all day long and all night, yeah. Hey, hey. Hey, Joe.
I would tell members of my family, and I have. I wouldn't go anywhere in confined places
My
now.
VP is a ding-a-ling. He don't know how to shut that thing. I'm being nice now. Hey, hey. He's slow.
Hillary Clinton is as qualified or more qualified than I am to be Vice President of the United States of America.
Ran his mouth in misery.
Stand up, Chuck.
Stand up, Chuck, and let him see you. Not too bright. Not too bright. Not too bright. You said it, boy.
Chuck Graham, state senator's here. Chuck, stand up, Chuck. Let him see you. Oh, God love you. What am I talking about? I tell you what, you're making everybody else stand up, though, pal. Thank you very, very much.
Well, tell me what you'll say.
I would not be at this point if they had another way of transportation, suggesting they ride the subway.
Tell me what you'll say right now.
I remember President Bush saying to me one time in the Oval Office, there was a great guy, George Beamer, and he said to me, he said, well, Joe.
Hey, Joe. Oh, no. He makes me look so good. He makes me look so good now, yeah.
You're out in the middle of a field when someone sneezes, that's one thing. If you're in a closed aircraft, a closed container, a closed car, a closed classroom, it's a different thing. I tell you what, stand up for Chuck.
On a bus tour in the heartland, President Obama searches for a way to take the people's mind off the economy.
Over the last 6 months, we had a run of bad luck. Hey, look over there! Aliens!
A terrified nation just forgets everything Obama ever did in Aliens Attack. With incredibly useless special effects by Ben Bernanke. Paul Krugman calls it believable. James Carville gives it 1 finger up.
Oh, hell, this ain't even as believable as Ken Starr versus Bill Clinton. I'm out of here.
Aliens Attack. So real, you'll scream for more government.
Hello? What, Harry?
Can Nancy and I quit now?
Nope. Keep going. I gotta get elected. Okay.
When Aliens Attack. Coming soon to a swing state near you. Not to be considered a real campaign stop. If you're a Democrat and you don't know much about our nation's history, then you'll love Chuck Schumer's Complete Loser's Guide to American History. A new audiobook with poignant insights like
the Pilgrims didn't want to come to America. They were typical religious nuts with guns out joyriding in the Atlantic.
Learn about the so-called father of our country.
George Washington wasn't a great general. The British just got bored and went home.
Study the Civil War era.
Lincoln didn't free the slaves. He was a Republican.
Find out the truth about America's greatest generation.
We didn't win World War II. The Russians let us take the credit.
Discover an amazing fact about the Cold War.
Ronald Reagan didn't win the Cold War against communism. I'm still here.
Get Chuck Schumer's Complete Loser's Guide to American History, an audio revisionist book from Demco Publishing.
Hi, this is Chuck Schumer. America is always at her best when she's a loser.
Give me an aspirin for this migraine, and I won't care what Media Matters says again. Reputation's gone, they hate me back at home. I shouldn't have written the letter. How could I know it would make Limbaugh's day? I just wanted to lean a little bit on Mark May. Reputation's gone, they hate me back at home. I shouldn't have written the letter. Well, I wrote him a letter, said I shouldn't be on the radio, no. Then he auctioned it for charity, made a fool of me, and he raised a lot of dough. Anyway, yeah, give me an aspirin for this migraine, and I won't care what Media Matters says again. Reputation's gone, they hate me back at home. I shouldn't have written the letter. I shouldn't have written the letter. I shouldn't have written the letter.
Wow, another tough day in the market. Are you tired of all the risk? Want to invest in a sure thing? Then do what all my friends do. Invest in green jobs.
Be part of the green power revolution of wind, solar, and perpetual motion sweeping America.
I know what you're thinking. Investing in unproven technologies and startup companies with shaky finances is dangerous. But not if you're one of my close friends. Your investment is protected the Chicago way, backed up by the full faith and credit of somebody else, the United States government.
Close friends are required to raise significant funds for the re-election of President Barack Obama. Only bundlers of $1 million or more will qualify for this exclusive offer. Act now to get in on this risk-free investment, guaranteed by the United States government.
In today's investment world, it pays to be one of my friends.
Paid for by friends to re-elect President Obama and what's left of the Solyndra Corporation.
Greetings, welcome back. Great to have you. Rush Limbaugh, having more fun than a human being you should be allowed to have, doing what I was born to do. And so are you. I was born to host, and you were born to listen, and it's working great. Been working great for 23 plus years. It's going to work for 23 more, however much longer I want to do this. When I figure I've saved a country, then I'm out of here. Somebody else can take over. Telephone number 800-282-2882 if you want to be on the program. The email address, lrushbo@eibnet.com. You know, that first caller, I don't want any of you to get distracted by his reference to the communists. A lot of people, even to this day, even with noted communists as czars in Obama's administration. What would you call Van Jones? I mean, you're sitting there laughing. He's no longer a czar, but he was. He's a communist. There are a bunch of communist-leaning sympathizer types. They're Obama czars. Well, I'll just tell you, you know what? Here's a good way to picture this. Have you seen any video interviews with people, say, at Occupy Oakland or Occupy Wall Street, or these young, just foolish, ignorant, idealistic people? That's who his czars are. There's people like that are who the czars are. Precisely, I mean, these people would no more get confirmed for a post in government than the Roadrunner would. So he makes them czars. They're not accountable, but they're pure evil. Anyway, I don't want you to get distracted by the guy. It's still, even now, when you mention the word communist and you associate it with an American politician, you lose people. They just tune it out. They don't want to ponder it. They don't want to consider it. And normally the person leveling the charges, a communist over there, is considered a kook, and whatever they say is therefore relegated to being irrelevant. Now, the point is that he wanted to make was that far from being the great advocate and supporter for the middle class, Obama, the Democrat Party, are just the opposite. And that is true. We in America had the largest middle class in the world, and the middle class is the key to greatness in this country. That's where it all came from. Contrary to what some people think, the rich are not born that. Well, a few of them are, the Kennedys and others, but the vast majority of the rich are made. Hard work, you name it. We had the largest middle class in the world, and it's under assault from practically every direction. Look at the destruction of home values. The family home was the largest asset most people in the middle class have, and it's being destroyed after being talked up for generation after generation after generation. American dream equals owning your own house. The mortgage came along, a 30-year loan to be able to afford a house. You got to deduct the interest on your mortgage to make it even more affordable. So clearly, home ownership synonymous with the American dream, middle class, upward mobility. What's under assault now? Home values. We've got yet another magical program from Obama to fix it. After repeated Obama programs to fix the foreclosure problem, the housing problem in general, all it's done is worsen. Middle-income jobs, middle-class jobs are the jobs that are being destroyed. Education within the reach of the middle class, been dumbed down or practically destroyed. Upward mobility of the middle class is what accounted for the growth of this country. Upward mobility of the middle class is what gave birth to the whole concept of American exceptionalism. Well, it didn't give birth to it, but it epitomized it. Middle class upward mobility is what set this country apart from every other country in the world. And now, where is middle class upward mobility? It has been targeted. There is so much debt via spending per man, woman, and child in this country that getting out from under it will forever retard upward mobility in the middle class. And that suits the left and the Democrat Party just fine, because then, rather than the middle class becoming self-reliant, they remain dependent. Food stamps, assistance here, assistance there, daycare, free diapers, Rosa DeLauro. It really is a devastating thing. It's a crying shame. Now, I wouldn't expect any liberals or Democrats to get behind any of the Republicans' new tax ideas. I'd be nervous if they did. The last thing that the Democratic Party wants is upward mobility within the middle class. What the Democrat Party wants is continued dependence. Look at the cost of living overall for people in the middle class. You've got rising energy costs. Higher taxes are of a direct assault on the middle class. The rich don't have to worry about the price of gasoline. The rich don't have to worry about the cost of their taxes. The rich don't have to worry about going out and buying a stupid electric car. The rich can make these vanity choices and say, look at me, I care. I'm driving an electric car, I'm driving a Prius, or I got a ribbon on my shirt here. But the middle class has always been the best kept secret of this country in terms of its meaning. The middle class is where the people who made this country work live. It's where they are. And it's the middle class that's under assault by all that Obama has done. Mr. Limbaugh, this is just a third. The middle class is made up of first responders and firefighters and teachers and policemen. Of course, the president is doing everything he can to support. Yeah, that's not the kind of middle class. We're talking about public sector employees paid for by the middle class. That's another expense the middle class is having to incur. They're having to pay higher taxes to employ all these public sector people. And Mr. New Castrati, one more time. If you think Obama loves teachers because he loves teachers, you're a fool. If you think Obama loves cops because he loves cops, you're an idiot. If you think Obama loves firemen because he doesn't like fires, you're an idiot. He likes those people because they're members of unions because they pay dues, which means the money going to come back to the Democrat Party. That's why he likes private sector job. What he really thinks of those people is they're bitter clingers. When things aren't going well, they cling to their guns and their religion, a bunch of hayseed hicks. The truth of the matter is the Democrat Party has an ongoing, arrogant contempt for the middle class because they're beneath them. You don't see the middle class invited to the White House or any state dinners. It's crying shame. What is happening to the great American middle class? And I look at these Republican proposals and I know exactly what they're intended to do. Take money back out of Washington and redeposit it into the private sector. The only way there's going to be upward mobility for people is if there is money circulating, capital that's being invested, spent, what have you, equaling growth where the middle class lives and works. It cannot be an accident that everything Obama does takes a piece out of the middle class. You look at Cloward, Piven, you look at Alinsky, Jeremiah Wright, all the mentors of Barack Obama. What was their objective? Their objective was to starve the middle class, to so frustrate them, create so much chaos that they had no choice but then to engage in civil disobedience and violence against the sitting government. In this case, what they're imagining it being against the Republican Party, not themselves. And basically just have everything collapse on itself, and then you start all over. And you rewrite the Constitution. You set yourselves up as the dictators. And you do this with the full-fledged support of the middle class. That's why you've tricked them into thinking you are doing everything you can for them. You're destroying them. You're giving them no other option. other than tearing down what exists and starting all over under the guise of it all being fixed. It's no different, folks, than what happened in Hurricane Katrina. The government sends money down there. The people are supposed to use it to make sure the levees will hold during a flood. And instead of using the money for that purpose, they use it for their own purposes. I don't know, going to the movies, buying booze, buying a bigger house. And it doesn't get to where it's supposed to go. Then all of a sudden the levees fail. And the very people responsible for it do what? Blame the fact there wasn't enough money spent. Blame the fact the government was too small. Blame the fact government didn't have enough power. The very people that caused it act as spectators. Like they had nothing to do with it. Same thing happening here. The very people whose policies by design are taking out the middle class are now acting like spectators and bystanders and pointing fingers of blame at people when in fact it is they who are responsible for it. So Occupy Wall Street now? Good. More of it. More chaos. More upheaval. More anger. More frustration. Because what's the Occupy Wall Street crowd doing? They're asking for more government, aren't they? They're not asking for more money returned to the private sector. They're not asking for more prosperity. They're asking for more government as the answer to their wants and needs. They're not looking to themselves. They're not looking at the country as people did in the past, the golden land of opportunity. Just the opposite. So the more middle-class unrest, the more middle-class poverty, the more middle-class joblessness, the theory goes, the more those very people will clamor for government to do something. And then Obama can say, well, you know what? You're right. I hear you. And the Congress isn't doing anything, so I'm just going to do it on my own. The Congress won't pass my jobs bill, so I'm just going to do it myself. And I'm going to do a bus tour, and I'm going to go to Las Vegas where I told everybody else not to go. I'm going to go to Las Vegas, and I'm just going to do it. Except Obama can't. No president can make your life whole. Only you can do that. Now, a president can redistribute wealth and take it from other people. Not going to help you. You think Steve Jobs just died. He left a fortune of about, what did I read? $2 billion. $2 to $5 billion. And all these people are running around, well, we got to have a death tax. Okay, fine, let's have a death tax. Let's have a death tax 55%. So the government comes, gets 55% of jobs as a state. You people going to get any of that? How's that work? How you end up with some of Jobs' $2 billion? Is that how? Because you know you're not going to end up with any of Jobs' money. So what's the point of it? Well, the point is punishment. You've been conditioned, not you, I mean you in this audience, the people I'm talking about have been conditioned to feel happy when they think somebody else is hurting. That after it all's over, you're still miserable. And you're still in need of free diapers from Rosa DeLauro. Nothing's changed. Except your opportunities continue to shrink. And you continue to clamor for government to do more. I give you Black America. For 50 years, they have been clamoring for government to do more. And every 4 years, the government promises they're going to take care of it. After 50 years of it, they're still complaining and clamoring for fixes. Fixes never happen. It's now the entirety of the middle class that faces that same circumstance. Oh, it's even better. Jobs' fortune now is $8.3 billion. Okay, so 55% of $8.3 billion. Well, his wife gets all of it, but she'd have to. But let's just say, for the sake of argument here, that the Jobs estate, $4 billion of it is taken by the government. And there are people, Warren Buffett and other people. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. We got to take money away from that family. That family, they don't need it anymore. Jobs is dead. Doesn't matter. He earned it. That doesn't matter. We need to redistribute that money to the people. Yeah, how's that going to work? That $4 billion, who's going to get it? When you start redistributing that money, who's actually going to get it? I want names. Give me the names and addresses of people in Cupertino, California that are going to get some of that $4 billion. I want to know how this works. because we all know it doesn't work that way. The people of Cupertino are not going to see a penny. Quick time out. We'll get to more of your phone calls after this. Don't go away.
You're listening to Rush Limbaugh.
The big voice on the right.
On the EIB network.
New from Republican Pictures. Citizen McCain. The true-to-life story of a senator who was willing to go across the aisle.
Senator, when are you coming back?
Legendary were the accomplishments of John Foster McCain. A solid Republican senator, except for campaign finance reform, illegal immigration, tax cuts, Guantanamo.
You forgot global warming.
Having lost in his first bid for the presidency, he wins his party's nomination in 2008 with a new tactic.
I am today what I have always been, a conservative.
Citizen McCain, starring the veteran director John McCain, star of such memorable films as The McCain Mutiny, The Gang of 14, and the popular C-SPAN TV series Maverick.
I don't care if I am the only Republican in this town to vote with Ted Kennedy. He's right.
A potent figure in the media who held dominion over the Senate, McCain is somewhat cautious on the campaign trail.
I believe that the policies of Rosebud are
Rosebud? What does he mean, Rosebud?
He can't bring himself to say Barack Hussein Obama. Doesn't want to offend anyone.
Citizen McCain, playing everywhere until the first Tuesday in November.
And now, Saving the World with Al Gore Jr.
Hello, this is Albert Gore Jr. And as I said in the New York Times, I, for one, genuinely wish that the climate crisis were an illusion. But unfortunately, the reality of the danger we are courting has not been changed by the discovery of at least two very small mistakes in the thousands of pages of careful scientific research. Small mistakes happen every day. Ask Charlie Rangel. He went on vacation and had no idea who was paying for it. Nancy Pelosi thought it was okay to fly friends and family and associates to Washington and to Copenhagen so that they could be near her. Honest mistakes happen all the time. Ask Governor Patterson, who sent a couple of state troopers to a woman's house to deliver a Hallmark card of sympathy, and it was mistakenly caught up in the press as some sort of threat. Well, I say all that to say this, that honest mistakes are made every day by Democrats everywhere. What's a few degrees in temperature either way? Cut me some slack.
Join us next time as we once again save the world with Al Gore Jr. Most Americans think that illegals should head back home. We used to think so too, till we realized illegals could pay 21% interest on their credit cards, just like the gringos. Introducing the all-new Bank of Amigo card. The Bank of Amigo card is the best friend an undocumented worker ever had. Packed with special features like bonus points for every day you're in our country. Good towards health care, border crossings, college education, fake IDs, and so much more. And the Bank of Amigo card is the only card endorsed by Senator John McCain.
If you need cash and can't wait till mañana, then the Bank of Amigo card is for you. Plus, the more you owe, the less likely you are to be deported.
There's no immigration check, no social security number required. Just sign your name, or anybody else's, on the dotted line.
Caramba, it's easier than sneaking in. Thanks, Bank of Amigo.
The Bank of Amigo card, because when it comes to money, we're all amigos.
From the Washington Examiner, it's a story here by Con Carroll. Last week it was a bus tour in North Carolina, Virginia, specifically pushing the aid to states portion of his second stimulus. At the same time, the Democrats were pushing for a vote in the Senate. That failed. This week, while Senate Democrats push the infrastructure portion of his jobs plan, Obama will ignore Congress and launch a We Can't Wait campaign highlighting executive orders that he's making to turn the economy around. So basically, Obama has abandoned his jobs push now. Since the Democrats in the Senate wouldn't vote for it, he's abandoned that. Now he's moving on to the infrastructure portion. And he's out there telling people on the stump, you know what? Congress won't do it. I'll just do it myself. We'll just do it with executive orders. In Las Vegas, Obama focusing on new rules that he's initiating that'll make it easier for homeowners with little to negative equity in their homes to refinance through Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Then, after fundraisers in Vegas, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Denver, he's going to make a second speech in Colorado announcing a program that'll make it easier for borrowers to pay off their student loans. In the weeks thereafter, the White House plans to announce one new initiative a week. But the New York Times is reporting officials acknowledge that the coming policy changes, executive orders, and agency actions are generally less far-reaching than the legislative proposals now before Congress. So what makes Obama look less weak? Continually failing to get even a majority of Democrats to vote for his second stimulus, or continually announcing a series of measures that no one believes will help the economy? Which one makes him look less weak? Now, by the way, here are the 5 changes in Obama's mortgage plan. 5 ways that Obama is changing federally backed mortgages from the National Journal. Number 1, eliminate the ceiling. Currently, borrowers can owe no more than 125% of the value on their home to qualify for refinancing under Obama's plan. The new requirements will eliminate the ceiling. Well, that's going to really work. No equity requirement. There will be no equity requirement whatsoever. No new property appraisal will be required. They will extend the term of the program, and they will invite competition. Those are the 5 things. Now, to me, those 5 things sound like some of what got us into trouble in the first place. Making loans to people that couldn't pay them back, pretty much the same thing as eliminating how much money you can, eliminating the ceiling on how much you can borrow. There's no limit on what you can borrow to fix your problem. And you don't have to have any equity in the game in order to borrow all this money. No, you don't have any income or assets. None of that. All this is going to be backed by Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. This is just a repeat of what got us into this mess in the first place. It's not a fix. It's continued destruction of the whole problem.
There's just one place to go for all your spatula needs. Spatula City! Spatula City! A giant warehouse of spatulas for every occasion. Thousands to choose from in every shape, size, and color. And because we eliminate the middleman, we can sell all our spatulas factory direct to you. Where do you go when you want to buy name brand spatulas at a fraction of retail cost? Spatula City! Spatula City! And this weekend only, take advantage of our special liquidation sale. Buy 9 spatulas, get the 10th one for just 1 penny. Don't forget, they make great Christmas presents.
And what better way to say I love you than with the gift of a spatula?
Spatula City! Spatula City!
Hello, this is Cy Greenbloom, president of Spatula City.
Spatula City, 7 locations. We're in the yellow pages under Spatulas. Spatula City! Spatula City! A giant warehouse of spatulas for every occasion. Thousands to choose from in every shape, size, and color. And because we eliminate the middleman, we can sell all our spatulas factory direct to you.
I like their spatulas so much, I bought the company.
Where do you go when you want to buy name brand spatulas at a fraction of retail cost? Spatula City! Spatula City! And this weekend only, take advantage of our special liquidation sale. Buy 9 spatulas, get the 10th one for just 1 penny.
Spatula City, we sell spatulas, and that's all.
Don't forget, they make great Christmas presents.
And what better way to say I love you than with the gift of a spatula?
Spatula City! Spatula City!
Hello, this is Cy Greenbloom, president of Spatula City. I like their spatulas so much, I bought the company.
Spatula City, 7 locations. We're in the yellow pages under Spatulas.
Spatula City, we sell spatulas, and that's all.
Welcome to How Gullible Are You? Now, with today's questions, here's your genial host, Rush Limbaugh.
Did you believe Bill Clinton when he said, I did not have sex with that woman, not a single time, ever? I never asked anybody to lie. Did you believe Bill Clinton? Did you believe Bob Torricelli when he denied all the things he had to leave the Senate for? Did you believe David Axelrod when he said Obama and Blagojevich discussed his Senate replacement? Did you believe Obama's Axelrod when he said he misspoke about Obama and Blagojevich having that discussion? Did you believe Jesse Jackson Jr. when he said he met with Blagojevich for 90 minutes and pay to play never came up? When Obama said things will get better, did he mean it? Or did he misspeak?
Now, let's see how you scored with How Gullible Are You?
If you answered yes to all 5, you are a liberal for life, or you are a drive-by journalist. If you answered yes to 2 or 3 of these questions, you are a moderate. And there remains hope for you if you remain a regular attendee at classes here at the Limbaugh Institute. If you answered no to all 5, you are grounded in reality and are thus cursed, because you will be forever hounded, frustrated, and driven to near insanity by the gullible who did pass this test.
Join us next time for How Gullible Are You? This has been an EIB production.
There's a food fight going on out there, ladies and gentlemen. A huge food fight. It's between Paula Deen and Michelle Obama. You know who Paula Deen is? Oh, come on. You know Paula Deen. Paula Deen's got this great southern cooking restaurant. It's Savannah. And she's on a cooking network, a food network or some such thing. Anyway, Michelle Obama is livid because Paula Deen called her out on what she eats. Oh, yeah. And it's in no greater a source than the National Enquirer. First Lady Michelle Obama is fuming as Paula Deen dishes on her unhealthy eating habits, despite her new book, American Grown PR Blitz. Michelle Obama now furious with Southern cooking queen Paula Deen for crowing that the First Lady pigs out on fattening foods. While plugging her new book, Paula Deen's Southern Cooking Bible, she took a shot at Michelle for gorging herself on greasy French fries, fatty hot chicken wings, and sugary deep-fried Snickers bars. Deep-fried Snickers? Have you ever had a deep-fried Snickers bar? You've heard about it? I have never had a deep-fried Snickers bar. Anyway, I've heard of a deep-fried Twinkie. Have you ever looked at the expiration date on a Twinkie? They outlast... it's outlast cockroaches. A Twinkie would outlast a nuclear blast. You get a Twinkie on the shelf 35,000 years. At any rate, I sidetracked myself. Michelle, according to the National Enquirer, is very, very mad. She thinks that Paula Deen is trying to smear her and her family just as the 2012 presidential election swings into gear. Now, the trouble first began when Barack Obama was elected president in 2008. Michelle made a guest appearance on Paula Deen's popular Paula's Party TV show and revealed that fried shrimp was her family's favorite meal. Then, in an interview after filming the program, Paula Deen quipped that Muchel would be serving high-fat, greasy, and sugary foods in the White House if Obama won the election. Now, Paula is rehashing those attacks on Muchel in an attempt to plug her latest cookbook to offset Muchel's new book. And Paula Deen says she's no different than the rest of us. She probably ate more than any guest I ever had on that show. She kept eating even during commercials. You know what the Obama's favorite foods are? Hot wings. You know those kinds of foods that aren't necessarily top of the list healthy foods. Muchel now deeply regrets ever doing Paula's show, added the source. There are a lot of digs that she'd have been able to brush off, but portraying her as a high-calorie gorger during her crusade for healthy eating is crossing the line. So there's a little food fight going. Now, I read all of this, and nowhere do I see Muchel getting around to denying what Paula Deen is saying. All Muchel's upset about is that Paula Deen is saying it. But Muchel's not denying liking all that food. Just mad at Paula Deen saying so. But of course, with the Obamas telling the truth, that's crossing the line. Remember what Maureen Dowd did when she talked about Obama's big ears. That was a no-no. But let me get serious here for just a second. By what measure or standard is Michelle Obama qualified on these subjects? So she's first lady. That means she's qualified to tell everybody else how to eat, what to eat, when to eat, and where to eat. And not just food advice. Muchel is now giving parenting advice. What makes her think most parents in this country need lectures from her about parenting? I mean, the arrogance of these people, folks, is just astounding. And she's cheered for what she's doing. She cares. It's just a wonderful project the First Lady has. She's got her garden and she's urging healthy eating. Maybe she should talk to her husband about the poor example he's setting for children in this country by not taking responsibility for his own mistakes. He's acting like a whimpering little child every time he goes someplace. Bush did it. Worse than I knew it was going to be when I got it. The predecessor did it. Maybe she ought to be warning America's kids, hey, be careful of my husband. He lies repeatedly. He blames and makes up stories about other people like Republicans. I think Michelle Obama would be better off writing about the lavish lifestyle of Martha's Vineyard than she would be writing about healthy eating. Now that she's an expert in. Or maybe culinary delights while on a 5-day vacation in Spain. Or maybe write a book how you take your own Air Force jet 3 hours before your husband flies Air Force One to go to the same place. Because you don't want to fly with him that day for some reason. Maybe you write a book on all the designer clothes that you are praised for setting new fashion standards by wearing. She knows a great deal about that. Okay, but we're supposed to take eating advice. Why should we take eating advice from Bloomberg? It's no different. Anyway, back to the phones, I promised that, and we're going to start this half hour Chicago. Hi, John. Thanks for waiting. It's great to have you here.
Oh, I wish I could say the same. It's very frustrating, Rush.
Oh, no.
It's I've been a listener of yours since '92, and, you open the show talking about the conservative intelligentsia that is sold out with presidential candidates from the Republican Party and how they missed the Arab Spring and all this kind of stuff. But, you hit the left really hard, but you sort of soft pedal this criticism of these liberal Republicans, and it just frustrates me to the core. Since '92, you've been very good, but the landscape's changing, and I'm really concerned that you're not changing with it. If we don't beat back these liberal Republicans, the country's going to be gone. We know who the Democrats are. We know how how socialist, how big government they are. But, I really break my neck in grassroots activism trying to beat back these liberal big government Republicans that campaign calling themselves conservative, using that adjective conservative. Oh, I'm so conservative, elect me, and I'm not the liberal guy. Vote for me. You have nowhere else to go. And
wait a minute. You're saying that I'm being too soft on liberal Republicans.
Oh, my goodness. Karl Rove hasn't been on your show in a while. But, if it's not him, Ken Millman, who long before Barack Obama ever announced his interest in the presidency publicly, Ken Millman was quoted in a number of articles saying it's only inevitable that the healthcare system in the United States is going to be taken over by the federal government. And with Republicans like this, they're going to destroy the country. It's not going to be the liberal Democrats. They can't do it without liberal Republicans. And I want to see you take your hammer to the liberal Republicans as hard as you do to the liberal Democrats. And I don't think you do that. And it is hugely frustrating.
Boy, you picked a strange day to call and lodge this complaint.
Well, it's hard to get through.
It makes me wonder if you're even listening to the program today.
No,
the whole first hour today was doing exactly what you say.
What names, Rush? I need names.
You know who we're talking about.
But you
know who we're talking about. What is the conservative intelligentsia and media? We've named the names on this program constantly over and over again. You know what we're talking about.
Proudhammer, Will. Let's get some guys who seem to be conservative that really aren't.
Well, I don't know where else you're going to go to find this criticism. I spent the first hour of this program pointing out that these people haven't gotten anything right yet. Particularly, I cited as an example the Arab Spring as a giant outbreak of democracy. There's no accountability for these critics. They get to say this stuff, and then it's forgotten, and when it turns out to be wrong, nobody ever points it out, and they're the ones telling us Herman Cain and Bachmann are not qualified in foreign policy. I don't know what... really, John, all you got to do is listen. Anyway, I appreciate the call. I understand. I appreciate hearing the sentiments of people. And I know why Snerdley put you on the air. I know exactly why Snerdley put the air. I just do. I know exactly why you put him on the air, Snerdley. Pure and simple. Anyway, I'm moving on. Here's Brian. Samantha in Cincinnati. Great to have you, Samantha. Welcome.
Hi, Rush. Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, madam.
I'd like to get your opinion as to why you think the media, with rare exceptions, give Mitt Romney a pass. I think his record is just as dysfunctional as anyone else's, if not more in certain areas. And I'd like to get your thoughts on that.
Why is the media giving Romney a pass?
Yes.
Well, I've said as recently as yesterday. Of course, this got me in huge trouble. It's going to get me in trouble again. But I said yesterday that I think the White House wants to run against Romney. There's part of me that thinks that, and there's another part of me that's not sure about it. But I know that the White House is eager to run against Romney the way he's running around defending Romneycare. Because they're out there saying that Romneycare is the foundation of Obamacare. And that's a problem for them. But if the architect of Obamacare is the Republican nominee, they like that. Mm-hmm. If they think they can make that case. Yeah. But Romney's, the 2008, Romney caught hell from the media over being Mormon, a number of other things. It's cycles change, and there are more conservative Republicans running for the nomination this time around than were in 2008. In 2008, Romney was probably the most conservative that was running. You had Giuliani, who backed out, never was really serious about it. McCain, not conservative. Huckabee really wasn't, and that got me in all kinds of trouble saying that. And you had Huckabee teaming up with McCain in West Virginia to take out Romney, and you had Charlie Crist, who's not a conservative, endorsing McCain in Florida. Now, Romney is the least conservative of all of these candidates running, and therefore, the one thing that scares liberal Democrats is conservatives. That's who they know they'll lose to. That's what's so frustrating about this. And you have the establishment Republicans on our side who also don't want a conservative nominee because they won't be part of any conservative nominee's administration unless they got to worm their way in there somehow, like they did in the second term of Reagan. Anyway, every cycle is different. Are you, now, Samantha, I just don't understand, you're not a Romney supporter right now?
No, I am currently not a Romney supporter.
Who are you supporting right now?
I like Herman Cain. I like Michelle Bachmann.
Okay.
I'm still vetting the candidates. And I think you touched on this. When there are, 5 or 6 candidates, and you hit someone that has fundamental view differences, for instance, like Romney Care, you can go to the next candidate.
Yeah.
I'm done vetting at that point, although, truth be told, I've been vetting Romney since 2004 when he started making noises for 2008. And I think a lot of people, on the ground, the people who knock on doors, are kind of coming around to the reality of his record.
Well, that's the Tea Party. You're talking about the Tea Party is another new dynamic that wasn't around in 2008. The Tea Party has shown what's possible. 2010. That's another reason they're going after conservatives. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Rush Limbaugh, pointing the way on the EIB network. What college do you dream of sending your kids to? Yale, Harvard, Princeton.
Forget it. Those are the universities of yesteryear. The school of the future is COC.
Community Organizer College.
I'm a graduate, and I just took control of General Motors. And now I'm thinking of taking over Chrysler, too. Maybe. Or selling it to an Italian bicycle company, I think.
Want your kids to run a giant company or even an entire industry like healthcare, banking, or insurance? Enroll him or her at COC, Community Organizer College.
Do you want your darlings to have trillions of dollars of money to spread around? Apply to Community Organizer College. Our teachings are based on a major breakthrough in education. It's not what you know, it's what people think you know.
At COC, Community Organizer College, we don't waste time teaching English, history, math, science, or business management.
We teach cool. We teach pompous. We teach teleprompter, doublespeak, seducing the media.
Community Organizer College.
Where your kids can learn to run a company or a country. Who knows? Maybe the entire planet.
Community Organizer College. Capacity is limited. Better act now. For an application, dial 1-800-ACORN-COC.
It's not what you know. It's what people think you know.
And now, Andy Griffith for Obamacare.
1965. A lot of good things came out that year, like Medicare. And now we got us Obamacare. And this year, just like always, you're going to have your guaranteed benefits right up until the time you get sick. So all you old angry white folks out there joining the tea parties and protesting and all, just calm down and be a good cracker. Good cracker. Tell them the new rules, Barney. Well, you see, it's like this. Here in Washington, everybody has to play by the rules. And we've developed a rule book just for you there at home. 62,528 new rules to help you through the process of healthcare in an orderly, organized fashion. Rule number 1. There are no peanut butter and jelly sandwiches allowed in any hospital, day or night, 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Rule number 2. If any named insured of a qualified plan gets sick, he or she must fill out request form 24/7.
For more information on Obamacare and how it affects those 65 and older, just get sick and you'll find out. Capitol Records presents
It was Mark McKinnon that we railed against here on this program. He was running McCain's campaign, and he had run Bush 41, Bush 43. Both of his campaigns ran the media for Bush 43. Highly acclaimed. Mark McKinnon came out and said he is going to quit the McCain campaign if they went after Obama, because the candidacy was too historic, and he didn't want to be part of that. Now, McKinnon is now part of the New Labels, or the No Labels gang, which is basically a bunch of liberals that don't want to be identified as such. They want to be thought of as the great unwashed, the independents, great moderates. But the difference in 2012 and 2008 is actually what happened in 2010. You see, for those of you in the Washington establishment, either party, Republican or Democrat, the November midterm elections in 2010 showed us what's possible. The Tea Party, a landslide election, down ballot to the point that it affected statewide structure. It wasn't just a big sweep for Republicans in Washington. Republicans swept Democrats out everywhere on the ballot, even down at town council in some places. It was massive. Now, the establishment types and the media want everybody to forget that. That's why there is so many attempts now to say that the Tea Party, they don't even exist anymore. Tea Party frustrated. It's Occupy Wall Street. That's the big money mover now. That's what's the game changer. Well, Tea Party, polling data that show you that the voter sentiments have changed from 2010 to the present. What's changed? The economy hadn't gotten any better. The circumstances that led to that landslide defeat for Democrats in 2010 have not changed. There is no reason for the Tea Party to have dissipated. There's no reason for the Tea Party to have lost energy, and they haven't. But every effort is being made to make people think so, that the Tea Party was a one-election wonder, and now they're back to their mom and pop stores and had their one little fling with politics, and now it's over, and the Tea Party doesn't exist. And everybody, that's wishful thinking, but it isn't the case. And so the days of conservative Republicans settling are over. 2010 showed what's possible. 2010, massive landslide election based on what? Opposition to liberalism. Opposition to Obama specifically. The 2010 midterms were a direct rejection of big Washington, big government, big liberal, big Democrat, what have you. The 2010 midterms were not an endorsement of the Republican Party. The Republican Party was not out there saying, vote for us because of. The Republican Party got the votes by default. People were opposed to what's happening. That's why this is so damn frustrating. We could have the landslide twice that big if we would give voters defecting from the Democrats added reason to join us other than defection. Just waiting there to be had, to be taken to the landslide bank.
He didn't start it, but he'll be happy to finish it. Rush on the EIB Network. Welcome to How Gullible Are You? Now, with today's questions, here's your genial host, Rush Limbaugh.
Did you believe Bill Clinton when he said, I did not have sex with that woman, not a single time, ever. I never asked anybody to lie. Did you believe Bill Clinton? Did you believe Bob Torricelli when he denied all the things he had to leave the Senate for? Did you believe David Axelrod when he said Obama and Blagojevich discussed his Senate replacement? Did you believe Obama's Axelrod when he said he misspoke about Obama and Blagojevich having that discussion? Did you believe Jesse Jackson Jr. when he said he met with Blagojevich for 90 minutes and pay to play never came up? When Obama said things will get better, did he mean it? Or did he misspeak?
Now, let's see how you scored with How Gullible Are You?
If you answered yes to all 5, you are a liberal for life, or you are a drive-by journalist. If you answered yes to 2 or 3 of these questions, you are a moderate. And there remains hope for you if you remain a regular attendee at classes here at the Limbaugh Institute. If you answered no to all 5, you are grounded in reality and are thus cursed, because you will be forever hounded, frustrated, and driven to near insanity by the gullible who did pass this test.
Join us next time for How Gullible Are You? This has been an EIB production. Want to lead an environmentally friendly lifestyle, but your SUV and powerboat get in the way? Introducing the EIB Carbon Credit Card. With the EIB Carbon Credit Card, for every $1 you spend on yourself, an equal amount is spent on holistic carbon set-off projects, like planting trees along the border with Mexico, to reforest the Southwest, and create an impassable barrier.
We're lost, amigos. Let's go home.
You can be part of creating kelp farms in the ocean, teaching dolphins to feed penguins, harnessing the rays of the sun to power a windmill. And best of all, the EIB Carbon Credit Card isn't just for people like you. It's also great for governments, too. Go ahead. Buy a half-decaf cafe latte and comfort a whale. Buy a sweater and send life-saving ice to a polar bear cub. Or send up the space shuttle and reforest New Mexico. You can save the Earth with the new EIB Carbon Credit Card. Do you suffer from
Steve Wynn unleashed again from Las Vegas on Pharaoh Obama. We have the audio, and we have lots of other audio. We have lots of other stuff standing by, ready to be hit out of the park when we get back.
Attention EIB affiliates. Stand by for the Rush Limbaugh promo feed. Copyright 2011. EIB Network. Start all recording devices in 3, 2, 1, now.
Rush Limbaugh.
The cure.
Soothing
for common ignorance.
Yet tough and penetrating.
Use once a day, every day.
I am Rush Limbaugh, the all-knowing, all-caring, all-sensing, all-feeling, all-concerned Maharishi.
For fast relief from everyday stupidity. The Rush Limbaugh radio program.
America's real anchorman, America's truth detector, and doctor of democracy.
Use only as directed.
Soothing, yet tough and penetrating. I am Rush Limbaugh, the all-knowing, all-caring, all-sensing, all-feeling, all-concerned Maharishi. America's real anchorman, America's truth detector, and doctor of democracy. You know what? I make the mistake of assuming that people are as smart as I am.
Rush Limbaugh.
And I make the mistake of assuming that everybody listens to this show every day and thus is able to understand the context of things that I say. But in truth, recent programs which have featured what people think are attacks on Obama are actually attempts to poke fun and to cause people to stop and think about what the media has become.
This concludes the promo feed. Production directors everywhere. Be with us next time as we make your life easier on the EIB network. And now, saving the world with Al Gore Jr.
Hello, this is Albert Gore Jr. If you've been wondering what I've been doing with my time lately, well, my friends at East Anglia sent me off on an important emergency scientific mission to measure the snowfall here in Rio de Janeiro. Right now, I know it may be hard for some of you to believe that global warming still exists, but it does, right here in South America. So to prevent further warming, just think of the snow as nature's bounty, cooling the earth, helping her heal. Using chemicals or snowplows to melt or remove it is counterproductive to the ecosystem. So avoid blemishing it in any way by just staying inside and allowing the snow to melt naturally. Carlos, could you bring me another pinas coladas?
It's pronounced pina colada.
Carlos, don't argue with me. I'm a professor.
Join us next time as we once again save the world with Al Gore Jr.
I'm a professor. Professor.
Big Deal Productions presents the next chapter in the Lord of the Bling series, Return of the Bling. As joblessness fills the land, Sergeant Wasserman Schultz leads an army of media orcs, while Lord Barry, the Wizard of Smart, uses his amazing supernatural powers of persuasion against the Republican leadership.
If I can't borrow more money, bad things will happen.
Okay. Here.
Whoa, thanks. Michelle and I will be at the mall if you need us. Bye.
Return of the Bling, with John McCain as John McCain.
Just vote for it, you stupid Tea Party hobbits.
I think we need to read it first. Yeah, it might not be constitutional.
Oh!
Harry Reid as Gollum.
Nasty hobbitses. Leave my precious alone.
Oh, Harry, I didn't know you cared.
Return of the Bling.
And I want 2 of them, and 6 billion of those, and 15 with
Same Obama, different day. Return of the Bling. Playing out in Congress.
Now, if I buy this, will you throw that in too? Well, wait a minute. I got the money. What am I thinking? Who can turn the world off with her smile? Who can say that nothing's yours and suddenly take it from you with style? It's Elizabeth and you will know it. When she's in the Senate, she's sure to show it. Money's all around, no need to waste it. Lizzie Warren's right, we should just take it. You didn't make it on your own. Nobody makes it on their own. You used a road or bridge, or like Solyndra just got alone. Well, it's not yours and you should know it. Government creates jobs, it's time to grow it. Money's all around, no need to waste it. Your success is ours, why don't you face it? You didn't make it on your own. You didn't make it on your own.
America's truth detector, America's real anchorman, the most trusted man in radio, the most trusted man in media, the general all-around good guy, well-known radio raconteur Rush Limbaugh, serving humanity with vocal vibrations, coast to coast, all across the fruited plain. 800-282-2882 is the phone number if you want to be on our program. Email address. And we do read the emails, as you know, as I picked out a doozy from yesterday. Email address lrushbaugh@eibnet.com. Some news items here. A politician, congressman from Ohio, is suing the people who defeated him in his reelection bid. He is suing for loss of livelihood. And guess what? He's a Democrat. His name is Steve Driehaus, or Driehaus. I'm not sure how he pronounces it. Driehaus. He's suing the Susan B. Anthony list. That's a group that supports pro-life candidates for Congress. So a guy who lost a congressional race is suing a U.S. District Court Judge, Timothy Black, and an Obama appointee is allowing the lawsuit to go forward. Now stop and think, what if the guy wins? What if he wins? Now, constitutional entitlement to his seat. Well, no, it wouldn't be that. It would be that he had a constitutional entitlement not to be harangued and harassed by the Susan B. Anthony list. But an Obama appointee is allowing the case to go forward. I got a note from a friend during the break. Rush, I'm really trying so hard to be open to Romney, and he just keeps making it harder. There's a story here. It's a combination CNN Washington Examiner story. Here's the headline. Romney refuses to back Kasich against government unions. Campaigning in Ohio today, Mitt Romney stopped by a Republican Party phone bank making calls in support of Governor Kasich's government union reform referendum. But Romney refused to endorse the actual referendum. CNN's, what am I supposed to do? Oh, for the guy who wrote, I'm not supposed to. Well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. HR wants to know what am I supposed to do for the guy who's so pained here. I try so hard to be open to Romney, and he's just making it harder and harder, and he's sending me the note. So the question is, what's this guy want me to do about it? At any rate, CNN's Peter Hamby called the scene an incredible moment in politics. So Romney stopped by Kasich's phone bank, where they are trying to gin up calls in support of Governor Kasich's government union reform referendum. This is the Ohio version of what happened in Wisconsin. But Romney refused to endorse the actual referendum. And so my friend says he stops by for support but won't endorse what's going on. Kasich already signed his government union reforms into law in March of this year, not long after Governor Scott Walker in Wisconsin won his battle against government unions there. But the Democrats, with the help of the AFL-CIO, placed a referendum on next week's ballot issue 2 that would repeal the new law. A vote for the referendum would keep the law. A vote against it would repeal it. Kasich's new law in Ohio bans government unions from bargaining over health insurance. It requires that all government union members pay at least 10% of their wages toward their pensions. It ends seniority rights as the sole factor in layoffs. It replaces seniority pay raises with merit pay raises. It bans government unions from striking and makes government union dues voluntary. But government unions would still be able to bargain about many other topics, including pay and working conditions. So this is Kasich's union reform law. Would ban government unions from bargaining over health insurance, would make all government union members pay at least 10% of their wages toward their pensions, would end seniority rights as the sole factor in layoffs, would replace seniority pay raises with merit pay raises, and so forth. The Ohio Chamber of Commerce, the Columbus Dispatch, the Cleveland Plain Dealer, Tim Pawlenty, and multiple mayors have all backed Kasich's law. The Cleveland Plain Dealer even endorsed this baby. Now, what happened was that, according to CNN, Romney expressed generic support for Kasich's efforts to curtail union rights, but he would not say whether he supports or opposes the specific measures in Kasich's reform plan. He said that's up to the people of Ohio. I'm not going to get involved. That's a question for the people of Ohio to make. But see, these are clearly sensible things. What is the reluctance in getting behind these? Well, obviously, doesn't want to tick off the unions in the Northeast or the unions anywhere. But what are we going to have to do to get union votes? Are we going to want to do what we're going to have to do to get union votes? It's kind of namby-pamby, and this is actually not hard. I mean, these reforms are total common sense reforms. For crying out loud, you've got a liberal newspaper even endorsing it. The Cleveland Plain Dealer is endorsing it. And this is the kind of walking on eggshells approach here that is not necessary. Again, you go back to November 2010 and look what happened. Let's do the opposite of walking on eggshells. Let's go to last Friday night, Fox Business Network, the Neil Cavuto show. And he's talking to casino mogul Steve Wynn. And Cavuto said, the president will be having a campaign rally at the Bellagio. It's safe to say that one casino executive who will not be there is the guy who used to own the Bellagio, Steve Wynn.
The policies of this administration have destroyed the living standard of the working class in America. What is ostensibly the base of the Democratic Party is taking the worst hit in history because of these unbelievably uninformed policies of this president and his colleagues who have fostered this ridiculous class warfare, these nonsensical policies that have been proven to be ineffective and unsuccessful everywhere they've ever been tried in the world.
That is Steve Wynn, who owns numerous casinos in Las Vegas, also in Macau. Then Cavuto said, so is Obamacare the biggest factor for you, Steve, as far as making decisions down the road and helping out these two Israeli gentlemen, I guess, to expand there? You just wouldn't do it? You couldn't do it because you didn't see the light here?
I can't see the light. I'm frightened to death about the future of business. My friend Harry Reid hung up on me the other day for the first time in 40 years. That's what it's come to. I supported a Democratic congresswoman named Shelley Berkeley. I called her during Obamacare. I said, Shelley, what are you doing? How do you do this? This is killing the unions and all of us that are supplying health care to our employees. And she said to me, quote, now this is not hearsay. Shelley said to me, and she's running for the Senate, Steve, I know it's terrible. My husband's a doctor. He hates it too. But if I don't vote for it, she will punish me, she being Nancy Pelosi. If any businessman or any working person doesn't understand that this is a turning point in American history, then I'm afraid we're going to get what we deserve.
Steve Wynn in Las Vegas. So Harry Reid hung up on him. Look, the obvious question is, why is he still voting Democrat after all this? That would be my obvious question. Why are you still voting for these people? And I bet my answer would be, they're going to win, and I need to be in good with the winners. But here it hasn't helped. With Obamacare, it didn't help. This is amazing. Talking about Democrat Congresswoman Shelley Berkeley. I called her during Obamacare. I said, Shelley, what are you doing? She said, I know, it's horrible. My husband, he's a doctor, he hates it too, it's terrible. But if I don't vote for it, she will punish me, meaning Pelosi. If I don't vote for it, she will punish me. Nancy Pelosi. So, and Steve Wynn, by the way, Steve Wynn is somebody who actually cares deeply about his employees. One of the raps that big CEOs and large business operators get is that they don't care about their employees, that they exploit them just like they exploit the customers and everything. Steve Wynn cares deeply about his employees, and I've met a bunch of people who work for the guy, and they all love him. They all love the heck out of him. Now, you've got malcontents here and there in every business. It's not universal, but he's pretty much universally liked and adored and respected by people that work for him. And he has a deep concern for them. And he tries to pay them as much as he can and keep his business profitable and operating. But I only have one quibble with him. The working class hasn't been the base of the Democrat Party since FDR. The base of the Democrat Party doesn't work. The base doesn't work. That's exactly how they want it, too, by the way. I mean, there's no question.
Talk Radio's Top Gun. Rush on the EIB network. 8 years after going to work for then-Governor George W. Bush, 6 years after he started working at the White House, and 2 years after being out of work with no prospect of employment, Scott McClellan now says he felt compelled to speak out for the first time in his new book, Whatever Happened to Scott McClellan.
I just remembered that things were really bad at the White House, and I think speaking out can make a difference.
This red-hot blockbuster is full of secret personal insights from Scott, like
we need to move beyond the bitter partisanship of Washington politics and just roll over.
Find out what was really going on with Karl Rove and Scooter Libby.
I was kept out of the loop by Karl and Scooter, who went behind closed doors to laugh at me behind my back.
Discover who was really behind the CIA leak.
Richard Armitage? No, I've never heard of him.
Critics are raving about Whatever Happened to Scott McClellan. I couldn't have written it better myself, says Anita Hill. So believable. I sent one to my pastor, says Barack Obama. And George Soros says,
Forget MoveOn.org. This is the best money I've ever invested.
Whatever Happened to Scott McClellan? From Lefty Press and bookstores today, in flea markets tomorrow. New from Capitol Records, Fritz Hollings.
There's corruption everywhere out there.
And James Carville.
That's right. Corruption at the highest level.
Too much corruption going on out there.
Dueling Bozos.
We all know what's causing it.
Hollings and Carville together for the first time.
So much corruption going on there, and it's even corrupted me.
Singing the only tune they know.
Yeah, everybody's guilty. I mean, come on.
Nothing we can do about it, no matter where we go. We go to breakfast, we go to Wednesday afternoon square dances.
We need to change the law.
I never even knew the word exacerbate until I came to Washington. I went down to that barbecue.
Wasn't that in the Star Report?
Why was LBJ here? Who the hell cares anymore anyway? All I know is that it was corrupt then and it's exacerbating now.
Yeah, all they're out there doing is talking about Buddhist monks.
They found this woman guilty. Guilty of what?
So what are you doing about it?
So what am I doing? I'm trying to pass a constitutional amendment to make sure that nobody can give any money to politicians.
Especially politicians that fly the confetti flag.
I flew that flag. I flew it proudly.
That the
as far as I'm concerned, George Bush is the one who's got to explain it. That's how out of whack it is. It's so corrupt, so exacerbating that a breach truck had to bring in a pork flowing barbecue with a bunch of contributors nobody he's never met. And until we get gold
Suckers that Capitol building from day to day, day after day.
Nothing's gonna get
Dueling Bozos. Available wherever this record is sold. What better gift for the liberal?
Back to the phones we go. We're next up in Newton, Iowa. This is David. Great to have you on the program, sir. Hello.
Hey, Rush. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet, sir.
Hey, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
You're willing, as we all are, to recognize that all of our Republican candidates have flaws. None of them are the perfect conservative, like yourself. And but Romney, all these things you're pointing out about Romney were known 4 years ago. Romney Care was around 4 years ago. Romney supported TARP. Romney was the one that acted like he was against gun control. He'd been a lifetime member of the NRA, and so on and so on and so on. So why is it that you didn't recognize this back then and got all over Huckabee, for example? And certainly there's things about Huckabee I disagree with. But why is it that one guy gets your wrath and the other guy gets your endorsement?
Like who has gotten my endorsement?
You said yesterday that Romney all but got your endorsement last time. You said it.
But he didn't. I said
all but getting the Rush vote.
You're looking, if you had an entirely different field in 2008 than we have here. You had McCain, you had the huckster, you had Giuliani. Are you a Huckabee guy? Because the Huckabee guys are still mad at me over what. I mean, Huckabee himself was mad at me over what went down in 2008. Are you a Huckabee guy?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I could have figured.
And you're still calling him names.
What? What name?
Huckster. Come on, Rush.
Oh, say calls him the huckster.
That's fine. But he has his flaws. Romney had his flaws. But you decided to say Huckabee's not a conservative and Romney is. Why is that?
I just said the other day that Romney's not a conservative either compared to this field.
So if Huckabee would jump in here at the last minute, you'd eliminate him from your candidates that could beat Obama. And
depends on what he would say. It depends on what he would say. I'm not going to reject Huckabee just because he's Huckabee.
Okay. Well, he's a pusher of the fair tax, and was back 4 years ago.
Yeah, but he made
as conservative as you could get.
He got in bed with McCain back then. That's what ticked me off about it all. He got in bed with McCain last time to sabotage Romney.
Maybe he saw something in Romney you didn't.
What?
Maybe he saw something in Romney you didn't.
Doesn't matter. You're asking me why I wasn't on the huckster's team. Yeah, he called me, too. He was all upset. He thought I'd mischaracterized him in a number of ways. He called here. He wanted to get on the air. We got on the air. We talked to him. And he had his election. Okay, everything was cool.
Okay. I just wonder if this time around, maybe you who are always 99.8% correct.
0.6.
That number's probably going up. If you, this time around, would give the man a fair shake.
He's not in the race. Do you have news for us? Is he going to get in the race? Is he going to announce?
I don't know.
Well, if he gets...
I think he's still considering it.
Okay. That's interesting. That's it. We give everybody a fair shake here. Everybody gets a fair shake. I'll tell you what. There's one guy out there that's showing he's got real brains. Herman Cain, advertising on this program. That's a guy who obviously knows how to get results. Thanks for the call. Oh, Snerdley can't believe people still ticked at me over 2000. They're still ticked at me in general for not endorsing somebody. There's some people out there still blaming me for Obama being elected because I wouldn't endorse anybody early. Some people still blaming me for not joining Perot. Some people still blaming me for killing Perot's campaign. Some people mad at me for not joining the Perot campaign. It's anyway. I know he sounds like it happened yesterday. It probably in his mind did. He's probably been waiting all these years to finally get through and have at it here with me. Well, that was endorsing Clinton. That was that was good too. That was a big day in EIB history when I endorsed Clinton. All right, who's next? Joey in Austin, Texas. Hi, Joey. Welcome to the EIB network. Great to have you here.
Thank you so much. It is an honor to speak to you as usual. And again, your monologue earlier regarding Steve Jobs and the upward mobility of the middle class definitely touched me in terms of being a small business owner here in Texas and a previously upwardly mobile middle class member. But it did bring up one question, if I might ask.
Sure.
These are hard numbers having come through the public education system for me to deal with. I'm joking, of course. But if 55% of this fortune is going away, I want to know how much Steve Jobs has actually paid to the federal government. because it occurs to me that all of this fortune he's amassed has already been taxed, or most of it already taxed once. Is there a way that you can run the numbers and tell me how much money he's given to the federal government over the course of his career?
That would be very, very difficult, because a lot of his wealth has been in stock and capital gains, and I don't know how he reported his income, and I don't know what his losses were. Jobs was nearly broke a couple times too, so that would be almost impossible to estimate. As to his fortune now, if all of it goes to his wife, there won't be any tax due. The spouse can inherit 100% of it with no estate tax, but any that goes to any place else is subject to taxation. But it's not even it's not quite that simple. And I wish I could remember where I read this. It was shortly after his death. There were stories popping up over the immediate challenges. Whoever was doing the estate planning of the Jobs estate, they had not a whole lot of time to figure out what to do in order to preserve the vast majority of it. But I didn't get any details. And that, folks, that number is so way out of my league, I could not begin to even tell you what the consequences are, what they're going to do with $8 billion. I know one of the great examples is Joe Robbie, who used to own the Miami Dolphins and the National Football League and the stadium. And Joe Robbie died, and his kids had to pay. They had to sell the Dolphins to come up with the estate tax, because it was his children who inherited. And children do not escape the estate tax. Spouses do. So I mean,
we face the same difficulty in my family, estate planning. It just seems like I've always been told two things you can avoid is death and taxes, but apparently after you die, you can't avoid paying taxes either. So that's immortality.
Let me tell you something. I go round and round every year. The estate planners want to talk to me about estate planning, and it seems that they think that the primary objective of any estate planning is going to be to keep money away from the government. So they want to structure trusts, charitable donations, foundations, any number of things. And I always say to them, yeah, but the problem with doing that is I am getting rid of all my money before I die. Yeah, but at least the government ain't going to get it. Well, I don't care. Frankly, I want access to as much of it as I can before I die. I don't want to have to shelter it all now while I'm still alive, so I can't get it. Just keep the government from getting it sometime. I go round and round with them on it. But it's all these things are very personal decisions that people have to make with their estates, and some people don't want to leave huge chunks of money to kids and nephews and nieces because it can ruin them if they don't have to work for it. These are challenging decisions for a lot of people. So. But as far as what the Jobs family is paid prior to what the estate tax is going to be, couldn't tell you. It's got to be significant, though. Has to be huge.
Do you have trouble being taken seriously?
How did you know?
Do you long for that certain special something lacking in your voice?
Uh-huh.
Do you want to make your average thoughts and ideas seem powerful and gifted?
Yeah.
Well, now you can have that confident, authoritative, God-like sound wherever you go with the Obamatron Verberator Pro. The Obamatron Verberator Pro is the only portable reverberation device personally endorsed by Barack Obama because it's so simple to use. Just implant the tiny sensor.
Wait.
And you can set your Verberator Pro for any occasion. Choose from Stately.
Wow, that is different. I feel so presidential. I come before you today to ask you for one of those tiny umbrellas for my drink.
Canyon.
Hello.
And for large egos, Der Führermeister.
I have led the accounting department to new and greater heights.
This holiday season, give the gift that no one can forget, the Obamatron Verberator Pro. The Verberator Pro is not for everybody on your list.
Some enchanted evening, you will see a stranger.
And may become annoying after a short period of time.
Looking good, huh? I'm talking about me.
What better gift for the liberal on your list than the Howard Dean Collection?
We're complete with Dean. Oh, what can it mean to a daydream believer who was homecoming queen?
You'll get all-time classics like Dean Dean.
Only trouble is, gee whiz, he'll have to win more than 3 states.
He's Howard Dean.
He's Howard Dean. He's pitiful. He's mine.
But wait, there's more. Look at the Howard Dean 70s Collection.
So listen to the play.
Featuring Green Howard Dean.
My Green Howard Dean.
No Howard Dean supporter will be complete without this collection.
I just think of Dean as a white knight on a steed.
Call the number on your screen and order now.
'Cause I know how happy we will be.
And now a word from the National Keep Our Own Kids Safe campaign about the danger of soccer.
If they have a competitive player on the field that they can't beat, they're coached to hurt them and take them out of the game.
Keep Our Own Kids Safe national celebrity spokesman Rush Limbaugh.
At what age is that taught?
Fairly young.
That is the entirely different picture from what I have always thought soccer was. I thought soccer was a refuge from violence. I thought that's one of the drawing cards of soccer, and that parents were sending their kids out there so they wouldn't get involved in those kinds of activities.
Well, that's exactly why we had our boys play soccer. This same son went to college on a soccer scholarship, and he thought he would get away from this being attacked. In a tournament game, he again won the ball, and the kid he won it from ran wide open at him, lunged at him with his knee up and got him in the groin and shattered a testicle. They left him laying on the side of the field during that game, and he went into shock.
This is a genuine horror story that I'm sure pains you to tell. I think it's important to point out that the soccer moms obviously didn't know and don't know. It's not that they were irresponsible or are irresponsible like Jane here. They were just uninformed. This is why our education campaign is so important.
Join Rush Limbaugh and help support the Keep Our Own Kids Safe campaign. Look for the Keep Our Own Kids Safe chapter near you. You'll find them everywhere.
Okay, so let's look at it now. 2008, what do we have? When we boiled it all down, we had McCain, Romney, and Huckabee. Those were not happy days. And when you boil it all down, folks, remember 2008 is pretty depressing. We had the media out there just creating this Messiah-like figure in Obama. We had our side scared to death to even show up in his presence, much less saying about it. We had Mark McKinnon quitting the McCain campaign, the first syllable of criticism. And we had, in addition to McCain, we had Huckabee and McCain and Romney. Huckabee got behind McCain. I thought McCain was the weakest candidate, and Huckabee's issues he had immigration issues that I wasn't particularly enamored of, and furlough issues. It was 2008 was, we still could have won. That's the amazing thing about it. We still could. McCain picked a conservative to run with, and if going into the economic crisis, we were 5 points up in that race, even with all of the media assistance. Now, you talk about there was Romney care even in 2000. Yeah, but there wasn't an Obamacare in 2008, and there wasn't somebody running around saying that Romney care was the basis for Obamacare in 2008. So there's all kinds of differing factors, vagaries, if you will, from campaign to campaign. Here's Brian in Saratoga Springs in New York. Great to have you on the program, Brian. Hello.
Hi, Rush. Rush, do you think Sarah Palin would release her supporters so we could have a true conservative presidential nominee?
By release, do you mean endorse somebody and ask her supporters to vote for that person?
Good question. I think that would be the natural occurrence. I think there's 4 to choose from. I don't know what she would do, but if she releases them initially, at least they can choose from those 4. What do you think?
Well, wait a minute. Which 4 are you talking about?
Well, in my humble opinion, I believe it's going to be Rick Santorum, Michelle Bachmann, Herman Cain, and probably Newt. Okay? So if she releases
Wait a second. Those are going to be one of those people is going to be who Palin's going to endorse?
Those are in my humble opinion, I think those are the true core conservatives. The Bachmann, Santorum, maybe Perry. But if she does release those supporters, Rush, that person will get the nomination.
Well, if she asks her supporters to support a particular candidate in unison, perhaps I'm not. I don't want to be misunderstood here. I'm not sure she's got supporters to release.
I have a lot of friends that.
Well, yeah, but you generally say that you say that about somebody that's in the race that has people voting for them, working for them. Then they lose. And they decide to ask their supporters to support somebody else. That she never got in the race. And to these,
you're right, Rush. But I'm a little confused with Sarah Palin. And help me out here because she and Bachmann came up with the term crony capitalism. Actually, I think it started with Sarah, and then Bachmann used it. It seems like a natural alliance for Sarah Palin and Bachmann, especially with their Tea Party record. And there's millions of voters that would go that direction if Sarah Palin truly wants a conservative candidate. So why would she not do that?
I haven't slightest idea. I don't know that she would or wouldn't. I don't.
Do you think she will?
Do I think she will?
She will eventually support a true conservative, Rush?
I don't know if she'll do it.
We're finished. We're going to get Romney. You know that, Rush.
I don't know that she'll do it before there's a nominee.
Oh, that's depressing.
Well, I could be wrong. I don't want to. I'm not trying to depress you here. I don't know. I really have. I haven't the slightest idea what she would do.
There are so many Tea Party people out there waiting to hear what she has to say. I hope she comes forward, Rush. It would help our country.
Are you really think there are a lot of people out there who are not making a choice until they hear from her?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, I do.
Well, that's what people say about me, that there's a whole lot of people out there not making a choice till they hear from me.
That's not your job, Rush. I respect that.
Okay, why is it hers? Why is it her job?
Because she's in the political world, and she has been a Tea Party advocate, cut spending, repeal Obamacare, and that fits into Santorum and Bachmann. Romney does not fit there. Either does Perry on immigration. So I'm just curious as to why she wouldn't support someone, because if she does it, she's so powerful, Rush, and you know that. She's so powerful. If she did support a conservative candidate, they would give Romney a run for
Well, she's got a pretty good track record in endorsements when she's out there in the primaries. She does.
She sure does.
She didn't pick all winners, but she got a pretty good track record endorsing people that end up winning.
So do you think it might happen, just to encourage me a little today?
Oh, it could very well happen. It's at least 50-50 that it'll happen. But you got to realize now there's a lot involved in that. This is if she wants to run down the road, it's going to be very difficult. I'm not sure that she would do it. If she has political aspirations down the road, because even though she's not in and she chooses somebody else, she is, by definition, elevating somebody above herself. And in this business, I don't know that you do that. So, but yeah, you wait till after the nominee is chosen and get involved, and that's the safe play. That's the thing to do for the sake of the party. And there's the party to be considered here. A lot of these people will do what they do to remain in good favor with the party, because the party's the vehicle. You got to build your machine within the party. So it's 6 of one, half dozen the other on that. as to what she'll do. But you'll have fun waiting. You'll be filled with all kinds of anticipation waiting. And I don't think nothing. Palin, when you do something like that, you burn a bridge. I mean, when you pick somebody, you're not picking 4 or 5 others. And she may not want to burn a bridge that she's going to eventually have to cross herself. So that just off the top of my fertile mind, those are my initial reactions. I must confess, I haven't even thought about that. So you hit me with a question I have not applied my vast intellect to. So I'm sort of doing that here on the fly, thinking out loud, giving pros and cons verbally here. I'll think about it further. In the meantime, we move on, and we are going to, Raleigh? Is that right? Richie? Raleigh, North Carolina? You're next on the EIB network. Hello, sir.
Good afternoon, Rush, and thank you for taking my call.
You bet, sir.
I have an answer for you. You had a question about who will be getting or benefiting from the approximate $4 billion in estate taxes paid by Steve Jobs' estate?
Yeah.
And you're right, as usual. It's not going to be the people of California or the U.S. It's kind of ironic about where it's going. It'll be put in general treasury funds, and some of it will be sent to China to pay the interest on the money we borrow from it.
Yes.
It's sort of ironic. Where they're assembling the products is where the benefit is going to go to.
Yeah, that's where his products are assembled.
It'll be the circle of iLife.
It's interesting. Jobs' fortune ends up with the Chi-Coms. Interesting. Jobs paid himself a salary of $1 a year. Paid himself a salary of $1 a year. He had lots of Apple stock, and that's had a lot of his income put away and a lot of his wealth stashed away in various trusts. So it's not altogether certain that there's going to be an estate tax on that money immediately. If it all goes to his wife, then there won't be a dime. She will get it all, and then what she does with it upon her death opens up the estate tax aspect of it. Because you can leave anything. You can give a spouse anything tax-free. Everything there's no estate tax on a spouse inheriting it. Once you kick it to the kids or anybody else, that's where the estate tax kicks in. Yeah, exactly right. It's like the gift tax. The Congress did a weird thing with the gift tax in December of last year when they were extending the Bush tax cuts. Mostly, up until last December, every individual has a $1 million lifetime exemption on gifts, with one exception. It floats. Right now, you can give an individual $13,000 tax-free. So a husband and wife can give an individual $26,000 tax-free. If you give $30,000 to a couple, okay, you're $4,000 over the exemption. They take that away from your $1 million. You have a $1 million exemption throughout your life. If you use that up, the gift tax rate becomes 49% on the giver, on the donor. So if you blow through your $1 million, now what happened in December of last year? That $1 million became $5 million. But nobody knows for how long. So if somebody had blown through their $1 million lifetime exemption, they were just given $4 million additional to give away. Charity's a different thing, but you can give any amount of charity you want. That's a charitable donation that comes under a different tax structure. But if you want to just give somebody some cash, it could be anybody, anything for any reason, kid, what have you. Right now, you can give anybody $13,000 tax-free a year. Next year, give them 13. But if you give them 20 or anything above 13, then you start eating into your $1 million exemption. So now everybody has a $5 million exemption starting this year and going through next year, but nobody knows how long it's going to last. Somebody thinks Congress screwed up. When they figure it out, they'll change it and get rid of it, take it back down to the $1 million. When it comes to inheritance, same thing with the gift tax. You can give a spouse anything, no tax, period. And it's the same thing with inheritance. If the spouse inherits in toto, there's no tax. But once the spouse passes away and then the money gets dispersed, that's where the estate tax kicks in, depending on how the estate planning has taken place. And it can get complicated, and that's why there are estate planning lawyers to walk you all through this. It's convoluted and complicated, and that's that way because the tax law is written to make it that way. So theoretically, there won't be a dime of Jobs' estate going to government if his wife gets it all. Well, it's the tax law, certainly. It's not so much who you give it to; it's the amount that you're allowed to give. The spouse is the exception. Everybody else, there's a limit on what you can give tax-free. The reason for it, let's say that you could give anybody any amount you wanted tax-free, then why would you ever employ them? And you'd never have to pay income tax. They wouldn't have to pay income tax. You wouldn't pay gift tax. There wouldn't be any withholding. There's a limit on what you can give so that people still have to be employed and paid a salary, so there are taxes on it. And the reason there are taxes on gifts is to make sure that the income tax is not undercut. Anyway, I'm long in this segment. I must take a brief time out. We'll be back and continue after this.
The wonder of Rush will continue on the EIB network. Now, continuing coverage on the countdown to disaster. As the clock runs out on the nation's debt ceiling limit, President Obama speaks again.
My fellow Americans, in just a few days, the United States government will run out of money, which is driving the Asian markets crazy.
You cut spending, grow economy, pay back debt.
See what I mean? Crazy. Checks to our seniors, our soldiers, and the unemployed are all in jeopardy because I will spend what little money we have left on green jobs and other important initiatives that we have.
Shut up. Make plan, pay debt.
A plan?
You are ineffective.
I did get those apples in the Happy Meals.
Stay tuned for continuing coverage on the countdown to disaster. Be an army of at least one. By volunteering for duty as a DNC seminar caller, you'll receive advanced basic training from our sensitive, caring professionals.
What's your number, soldier?
1-800-282-2885?
How you gonna make it past the call screen if you don't know the number? Drop and give me 20 on the rotary dial. The rest of you, repeat after me. I love your show, and I always agree with you. And I voted for Bush.
And you'll earn promotions and medals.
Son, we're very proud of you. What's that medal for? This one's for touch tone. This is for getting past the call screener, and this big one here is for actually talking to the host and flawlessly saying, I love your show, I always agree with you, and I voted for Bush.
Be on radio and say what we want you to say. All scripts provided by the Democratic National Committee. Help us take back our monopoly on public opinion. Volunteers especially needed from noon to 3 Eastern. Now, an urgent global warming message from Albert Gore Jr.
The more we study global warming, the more we learn. Take cow flatulence, for instance. Recent studies have shown that the abundance of gas from cow flatulence is more dangerous than automobile emissions. So right here on my Tennessee farm, we're studying new holistic farming methods to reduce cow flatulence. We've already stopped the emission of gas from Gertrude here by using nothing but natural cork. Then, we've gently massaged her to reduce stress and anxiety, the root causes of cow flatulence. Now, we'll apply acupuncture to... Oh, darn. Lost another one. Well, science is a continual learning process. Can somebody get me a handy wipe? Make that 2.
And now, a personal message from President Obama to all remaining Democrats.
Some of you have expressed disappointment with my decision to strengthen the economy and get the best deal I can. So let me use a couple of analogies to explain. It's like the Republicans are hostage takers who threatened me in 2012. So I ran away this time, but I'm drawing a line in the sand.
And I'm itching for a fight with the Republicans, but not now. In the meantime, my job is to be reelected. Because I'm a leader, standing tall, looking for that North Star. This isn't an abstract debate. It's not, I repeat, it is not an abstract debate. I'm a leader.
Where did he go?
I don't know. He's down there somewhere. Hey, watch your step.
We are currently experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by until 2012.
If you suffer from hearing loss, you really do suffer. It's something that people have never experienced it, cannot possibly relate to, can't possibly understand it. Now, those of you who have lost some of your hearing, you know what I'm talking about. It's not like being nearsighted or farsighted. Finding a good pair of glasses to correct your vision, that's not possible with hearing loss. When you don't hear any longer, when your ears are not operating like they used to, the best prospect for a solution is a hearing aid that only amplifies with plenty of distortion, and that's not a good fix to the problem. That's always been what's best out there, but it's like getting a new pair of glasses, just the right amount of Vaseline on the lenses, making everything blurry. It's not the best thing you can do. It's a fix, but it doesn't really correct anything. The best solution to hearing loss, without exception, is a device called Esteem. It's not a hearing aid. It is a hearing implant. It's a small surgically implanted prosthetic device that restores your hearing using your own eardrum. If I was sitting next to a recipient of an Esteem device, I wouldn't be able to tell if they had one or not. It's invisible. And that matters to people. Some people don't get hearing aids when they need them because they don't want anybody to see that they have a hearing problem. It's a very, very vain thing for a lot of people. But the results with the Esteem are anything but invisible. To those who've received one, it's a miracle solution to the hearing loss that they once suffered. There's a study out there that hearing ability increases, speech comprehension increases by 85% on average before the installation to after it. Now, many of us that suffer from hearing loss pay a lot of attention to the options available to us. But the Esteem is new, and in some ways it's revolutionary. So if you know somebody that suffers from hearing loss, tell them about Esteem. It's from a company called Envoy Medical, and you can learn about Esteem online at their website, envoymedical.com. It's spelled E-N-V-O-Y, envoymedical.com. And if you'd like to talk to somebody on the phone about Esteem, you can reach them at a toll-free number, 800-518-7320. And the odds are that when you call that number to talk to somebody about Esteem, you're going to be talking to a recipient, somebody who has benefited from the device. And they are as enthusiastic about this as anything that ever happened to them in their lives. So you got a hearing problem, you have some residual hearing, you want it restored, the Esteem may be just what you're looking for. EnvoyMedical.com or 800-518-7320.
Hear it now. Read about it in the paper tomorrow. Rush on the EIB network. According to a leading authority, when presented with a problem, 95% of Americans sit on their hands while only 5% do something about it.
I thought we'd get a couple of things on the way to the party.
Yeah, grab a shopping cart.
Oh, it's stuck. I guess we'll just have to carry everything.
Let me try. There, see?
Don't be part of the problem. Be part of the solution.
Boy, I'm thirsty. You want a soda?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, it didn't take my $1. Well, that's okay. I can wait.
Try it again, like this. Here you go.
If you have a friend that gives up too soon, you know what to do.
You know, I haven't seen Bob, and it didn't start. Maybe we should call Mother.
Hey, you give up too easy. Give her another try. Why don't we listen to Rush on the way?
Who's Rush?
A guy you really gotta get to know.
Listen to Rush on the EIB network.
I rode with my kid in the front seat to soccer practice. Does that make me a bad parent?
Yes, it does. And you would have known if you read Bad Living magazine.
There's a new study that shows people who eat red meat from cows that inhaled secondhand smoke are 3% more likely to get sick than people who don't. Should I be scared?
Yes, and that's the point of Bad Living. When you subscribe to Bad Living, you'll be reminded of all the ways you put yourself and those around you in danger every day.
I didn't even realize that my SUV was endangering other drivers and destroying the ozone hole and increasing our chances of getting hit by a giant asteroid. But since I subscribe to Bad Living, I'm afraid of almost everything, and I want everyone around me to be too.
Call now and receive the bonus pamphlet, The Top 1,500 Things You Should Be Terrified About.
I called, and I'm glad I did. The first issue told me how to get rid of all the sharp objects in my home.
Call 1-800-PARANOID and receive our latest issue of Bad Living magazine, featuring 10 reasons you should be afraid to leave your home.
Thanks, Bad Living.
New at Club Gitmo, life skills training. So you can thrive on the outside when you leave our tropical retreat from Jihad.
I love my life skills training classes. When I first came to Club Gitmo, they just asked me a lot of personal questions. Now I ask the questions in class.
You'll learn all about personal finance, computer skills, how to read a wiring diagram, and improve your English to make you a lot less suspicious.
My favorite teacher is Mr. Shabazz. He has taught me to hate America even more than I thought possible. The only good cracker is a dead cracker. Fight the power. Fight the power. Fight the power. Fight the power.
Life skills training, now at Club Gitmo, your tropical retreat from Jihad.
What about a whole wheat cracker?
Hate all the crackers.
Fight the power.
Ladies and gentlemen,
We had a call that we didn't have a chance to get to. A guy from Philadelphia who thinks I am too generous, too nice to some Republicans like Romney. Call him back tomorrow. I want to hear what his point is. Too nice to these Republicans. So we'll talk to that guy and be revved and ready for whatever happens. See you in 21 hours.